Chapter 8:13. Zhouwen used the invisibility cloak's 3 minutes of invisibility to leave the Xiuan store. He didn't enter the password to open the metal block. Firstly, time didn't allow it. Secondly, what the silver-haired companion beast had said was only his side of the story. Before he understood it clearly, Zhouwen wasn't willing to casually open the metal block. At the very least, Zhouwen didn't know what the anchor and the woman's head meant. Since there was such a pattern engraved on the metal block, there had to be some meaning. Zhouwen planned on finding an opportunity to ask the silver-haired companion beast again. It wouldn't be too late to open the metal box after figuring out the situation. After all, he was the only one who knew the password. It was impossible for others to open it. After returning to his dorm, he saw the antelope, Yer, and Chick watching television. They were safe and sound, so Zhouwen heaved a sigh of relief. The Chick was fine, but Zhouwen was afraid that the antelope and Yer would clash. Who knew what would happen? Zhouwen didn't wish to see the school being besieged by a sea of goo. However, on careful thought, goo-type companion beasts were typically in the South District. Not every place had goo. Yer could only communicate with goo. In a place without goo, it was impossible for her to summon a large number of goo even if she wanted to. With this in mind, Zhouwen was afraid that Yer would suffer because of the antelope. In comparison, Zhouwen felt that Yer was better. The antelope was a little too much of a scam. Zhouwen didn't really trust it. However, because the antelope was a little unfathomable and powerful, Zhouwen couldn't do anything to it. All he could do was silently acknowledge its existence. If the silver-haired companion beast isn't lying, the strongest creature on Earth is only at the Terrorgrade. Only after those guardians and humans combine will they have a chance of breaking through to the Terrorgrade. I should think of a way to advance to the mythical stage first. Otherwise, it's useless no matter what I say. Zhouwen opened the game and grinded as he was injured. Then, he used the Chaos Egg to heal himself. The more serious and bizarre the injuries he suffered, the faster the Chaos Egg grew. Zhouwen directly sought out mythical creatures to fight and used the Chaos Egg to treat him after he was seriously injured. Unfortunately, the same injury could only make the Chaos Egg grow once. It was useless to suffer the same injury again. Therefore, Zhouwen could only change his methods to seek abuse. Finally, 4 days later, the Chaos Egg began to evolve while treating Zhouwen. At that moment, the blood-colored avatar was still inside the Chaos Egg. When the Chaos Egg evolved, it still maintained this state. Zhouwen could clearly sense that the essence energy in the Chaos Egg was rapidly transforming. It became purer and more concentrated, and the healing effects were clearly strengthened. Before long, the essence energy in the Chaos Egg condensed into mist. The mist then turned into water droplet. More and more water droplets formed a liquid that filled the entire Chaos Egg. At that moment, the Chaos Egg's evolution was finally completed. Inside the Chaos Egg, Zhouwen could clearly sense that the liquid inside was a high-level essence energy. It was much stronger than ordinary essence energy in all aspects. However, after looking at the Chaos Egg's information, he realized that the Chaos Egg had indeed evolved to an evolved body. However, its name hadn't changed. It was still a Chaos Egg, somewhat different from the other life souls. Zhouwen was injured again and entered the Chaos Egg to recuperate. The healing speed was indeed much faster. Could it be that the Chaos Egg's ability is only healing? Zhouwen wasn't too disappointed. After all, such a sick healing ability was almost comparable to Li Xian's self-healing. However, Li Xian could heal himself as he fought. Once the Chaos Egg came out, Zhouwen couldn't do anything. All he could do was hide inside to recuperate. Zhouwen didn't care too much. After all, he had to raise the Chaos Egg to a perfect body. Zhouwen crazily sought abuse in-game and suffered almost all the injuries he could. Although he still failed to advance to a perfect body, it gave Zhouwen a deeper understanding of the various dimensional creatures' abilities. After all, personally experiencing their various skills was different from seeing them with his eyes. Now, Zhou knew the effects of all sorts of skills like the back of his hand. He knew very well what kind of skills were at their strongest and what kind of reaction they would have when they hit him. Even so, the Chaos Egg still failed to advance to a perfect body. Zhou felt that it was becoming stronger, but it was just too slow. There's no place for me to be injured anymore. What should I do? Should I find a new dimensional zone? Zhou thought for a moment. It wasn't that easy to find a new dimensional zone. Finally, Zhou gritted his teeth. From the looks of it, I can only go there. Zhou reluctantly clicked open the Netherworld City dungeon. After entering, he waited for the torture chamber to open before entering the first torture chamber. Not long after, Zhou came out of the torture chamber and used the Chaos Egg to treat his injuries. Then, he went to the next torture chamber. Another tragic cry sounded. Soon, Zhou came out again and continued treating his injuries. Zhou shuttled through the streets of Netherworld City and suffered all sorts of punishments. Whipping and burning weren't a problem. What was even more perverted was being fried in a pot of oil, having his body pierced by nails, and so on. The inhuman pain was unbearable for ordinary people. However, Zhou endured it all. Furthermore, the effects were very good. After every treatment, Zhou could clearly sense that the Chaos Egg was rapidly growing. Zhou was in pain and joy. The physical pain couldn't hide the joy in his heart. However, even Zhou couldn't accept a few punishments. He skipped the torture chambers, such as the wooden horse punishment that Zhou had previously suggested Lu Yun try. There were also some punishments that were even more terrifying than the wooden horse punishment. Zhou consciously didn't enter them. Zhou waited for the torture chamber to open every day before experiencing new punishments. Ignoring a day, it was impossible for him to experience all these punishments for half a month. City Lord Netherworld said that I have to try all the punishments before I can see the real Netherworld City. I wonder what he means. Zhou was somewhat curious, but he couldn't accept the punishments. In the end, he gave up. Days passed as Zhou tried most of the punishments in Netherworld City. He vaguely felt that the Chaos Egg was about to advance, but it was just a little short. No, I have to find another place to be beaten. After some thought, Zhou felt that it was too dangerous to go to unfamiliar dimensional zones after being injured. He might as well find someone to beat him up. I wonder how Feng Qiuyan's saber techniques have been. I'll spar with him. Zhou contacted Feng Qiuyan by phone. Chapter 8:14. Zhou said that he wanted to spar with Feng Qiuyan. He couldn't possibly say that he wanted to be beaten and injured, so he could beat him up. When he arrived at the training grounds, Feng Qiuyan was already waiting for him. To Zhou surprise, Gully and Sadie were also there. Only after chatting did he realize that Feng Qiuyan had been practicing with Gully and Sadie recently. This fellow, Feng Qiuyan, is really a martial arts fanatic. In the past, it was Mingxiu, then it was Li Xian. Now, he's not even letting Gully and Sadie off, Zhou thought. My saber techniques have improved recently. Coach, please give me some pointers, Feng Qiuyan said as he picked up a practice saber. Why aren't you using the Life Soul Saber? Zhou asked in puzzlement. In the past, Feng Qiuyan had used the Life Soul Saber in battle, be it practice or actual combat. For some reason, he had suddenly taken a practice saber today. If it were any other time, it wouldn't have been a problem for Feng Qiuyan to use a practice saber. However, Zhou was here to get injured today. How could Feng Qiuyan injure him with a practice saber? Recently, I've been practicing with Sadie. In order to crack her ability, I can only make some attempts with my saber technique. Now, I can only release it, but I can't retract it so. Feng Qiuyan explained. I see. However, it's best you switch to the Life Soul Saber. I want to find the feeling of actual combat. It's best if I can get injured, Zhou said. Feng Qiuyan looked at Zhou in puzzlement. Coach, why do you want to get injured? Zhou had no choice but to explain. A person who hasn't made a mistake doesn't know what's right. If he hasn't been injured, he naturally doesn't know how to deal with injuries. Therefore, I want to get injured and experience the feeling of being injured. Feng Qiuyan was enlightened when he heard that. Coach, you're right. I understand. With that said, Feng Qiuyan put the practice saber back and summoned his life soul saber. However, Gully and Sadie had different thoughts when they heard Zhou Wen's words. It was very normal for one to be injured when entering dimensional zones to hunt dimensional creatures. Otherwise, the school wouldn't have been equipped with a specialized hospital. Even Sadie, who had the Eye of Odin, would sometimes be injured. After all, anything could be discovered in dimensional zones. It was impossible for a single person's strength to control everything. However, Zhou said that as though he had never been injured. He actually wanted to find the feeling of being injured. This made Gully and Sadie feel that he was exaggerating. Although Zhou is indeed very strong, Feng Qiuyan's saber techniques are already so fast that even my Eye of Odin can see them but can't dodge them. If Zhou isn't careful, he might really be injured, Sadie said. Gully had been practicing with Feng Qiuyan for the past few days, so he had a deep understanding of how terrifying Feng Qiuyan was. He felt that Zhou would definitely suffer if he underestimated Feng Qiuyan. Zhou didn't take the practice saber. Firstly, the practice saber couldn't block the life soul saber. Secondly, Zhou was there to get injured, so he had no intention of blocking it. Coach, be careful. With that said, Feng Qiuyan drew his saber and slashed. Before he saw the saber beam, Zhou felt a chill in his chest. He immediately moved his feet and saw Feng Qiuyan's saber brush past his shoulder. Such a fast saber. Feng Qiuyan's saber speed was actually comparable to his mythical transcendent flying immortal. It surprised Zhou. Before Feng Qiuyan's strike landed, the saber's momentum continued slashing down like a gushing river. This was a saber technique that Sadie couldn't dodge even if she saw it. When Zhou used Transcendent Flying Immortal, he needed to focus all his attention to deal with it. Any mistake might result in him being struck. In the beginning, Zhou only wanted to spar with him before he was injured and returned to recuperate. However, Feng Qiuyan's saber techniques truly surprised him. He couldn't help but want to take another look. The more he looked, the more interesting he found it. For a moment, he forgot about being injured and wanted to see Feng Qiuyan's saber technique. Sadie was alarmed when she saw that Zhou only dodged Feng Qiuyan's attack without retaliating. Under normal circumstances, people with the same physique would definitely not be as fast as a saber. However, Zhou was able to dodge Feng Qiuyan's saber. Just this alone meant that Zhou was faster than Feng Qiuyan. Feng Qiuyan's explosive saber technique ultimately failed to injure Zhou. However, the fighting spirit in his heart surged as he unleashed all his strength, making his saber faster and faster. His life providence was Swift Saber Heavenly King, allowing his saber to become faster and faster. However, in the past, he had to control his saber to prevent it from escaping his control. Now, he was doing the opposite, making his saber faster and faster. Without deliberately controlling it, the upper limit of the saber's speed was much higher. However, in such a state, even Feng Qiuyan couldn't control his saber. He was completely following his feelings. If he wasn't in a perilous situation, Feng Qiuyan wouldn't have used such a saber technique. This was a saber technique used to risk his life in a perilous situation. Even so, Feng Qiuyan's saber failed to touch Zhou from beginning to end. In the end, the saber's speed was so fast that Feng Qiuyan couldn't control it. It flew out of his hand. Just as Zhou was in the midst of his excitement, he suddenly saw his saber fly out without him being injured. He immediately felt depressed. He came here for the sake of getting injured. Wasn't this a waste of time? Zhou steeled his heart and flew towards the saber. He used his body to catch Feng Qiuyan's saber as the life soul saber stabbed into his ribs. Zhou Wen's actions left Sadie, Gully, and Feng Qiuyan dumbfounded. Even Feng Qiuyan couldn't control the saber from leaving his hand. He couldn't injure Zhou Wen at all, but he had slammed into him. "Coach, are you alright?" Feng Qiuyan went forward to check on Zhou Wen's injuries as he retracted the Life Soul saber. "I'm fine. Do you have any other moves? I want to try and see what other kinds of injuries feel like," Zhou Wen said to Feng Qiuyan. "I only know how to use a saber." Feng Qiuyan felt relieved when he saw that Zhou Wen's wound wasn't bleeding. "Why don't the two of you give it a try?" Zhou Wen targeted Sadie and Gully. They came from the Ultimate Family clan in the North District, so the techniques they knew were different from the people in the East District. The injuries they inflicted should have some effect. "Coach, you must be joking. How can we be your match?" Sadie said with a shake of her head. She refused to fight Zhou Wen no matter what. Helpless, Zhou Wen could only return to use the Chaos Egg to recuperate. "Is that fellow really human? He actually slammed into the saber," Gully said with a strange expression. Sadie sighed and said, "Just as he said, he wants to know what it's like to be injured, but he's just too strong. No one can injure him. Even in the Dugu family, which is best at movement techniques, there probably aren't many people who can reach that level, right?" Gully exclaimed. "Sogu." Chapter 8:15. Zhou Wen returned to his dorm and used the Chaos Egg to treat his injuries, but he realized that the effects weren't good. From the looks of it, the strength of humans is still too weak. The injuries caused are very limited in improving chaos. I still have to go to those dimensional zones to find mythical dimensional creatures. Zhou Wen gave up on the idea of finding humans to fight. At present, there were only a handful of humans at the mythical stage. Most of them relied on guardians to advance to the mythical stage. However, it wasn't easy to find a new dimensional zone. Zhou Wen thought for a moment and suddenly thought of something. "I wonder if the injuries suffered under the taboo power count? Those are the rules of dimensional zones. They're different from dimensional creatures' injuries, but they're still injuries, right?" With this in mind, Zhou Wen entered the game and went to Small Buddha Temple to give it a try. This time, Zhou Wen didn't use the Buddhist Essence Energy Art when he went to Small Buddha Temple, nor did he use an Essence Energy skill that prevented him from being injured. He directly stepped onto the stone step. Not long after he walked up the stone steps, Zhou Wen felt something amiss with his body. He was about to spit out blood and collapse. He hurriedly summoned the Chaos Egg and enveloped the blood-colored avatar. The Chaos Egg was really useful. When Zhou Wen was inside, the taboo power outside couldn't injure him. The Chaos Egg began to repair Zhou Wen's body. Zhou Wen could clearly sense that the Chaos Egg was rapidly becoming stronger as it healed him. "It really works." Zhou Wen was overjoyed. After healing his injuries, he continued walking. However, when he was injured again, although the Chaos Egg could still heal him, it didn't become stronger again. A taboo power can only be upgraded once. Let me do the math. Which dimensional zones have taboo powers? Zhou Wen did some calculations and went to the dimensional zones to experience the taboo powers. The Chaos Egg improved very quickly. The effects of the taboo power were abnormally good. It was even better than being injured by a mythical creature. When Zhou Wen walked around Netherworld City without any regard for the rules, the taboo power activated and nearly killed him. Before he was killed, he entered the Chaos Egg and successfully repaired his body. During the repair process, the Chaos Egg began to evolve again. The liquid inside that resembled spring water underwent a tremendous change. The liquid seeped into Zhou Wen's body, making him feel as though his body had melted into the liquid and become a part of it. This feeling was very subtle. Furthermore, the liquid was gradually solidifying. The liquid was solidifying, but as a part of the liquid, Zhou Wen could still move freely. This feeling was indescribable because it was impossible for a person to move through ice or jade. Now, Zhou Wen was having such a feeling, so he couldn't describe it. In short, it was a very magical experience. In the beginning, the Chaos Egg only had a shell. When it evolved, its interior was filled with liquid. Now, the entire Chaos Egg was one entity turning into jade. There were no gaps inside. The Chaos Egg successfully advanced to a perfect body. At the same time, a notification appeared in-game. Chaos Egg Life Soul advanced to perfect body. Essence Energy +1. When Zhou saw the word +1, he immediately felt like he had drunk honey. He hurriedly looked at the blood-colored avatar's stats and saw that his primordial energy had indeed become 41 point. Although it was just a tiny difference, it was something Zhou had been looking forward to for a long time. This didn't just mean that his stats had increased, but it also meant that Zhou could absorb mythical essence energy skill crystals that required 41 points of primordial energy. The mythical essence energy skill crystals he had obtained in the past could only be wasted due to his insufficient stat. That feeling wasn't good. Chaos Egg. Perfect body. Zhou looked at the Chaos Egg stats and realized that there weren't any changes. It had only advanced to a perfect body, and its self-healing effects were stronger. There didn't seem to be anything special about it. Could it be that the Chaos Egg really only has healing abilities? Zhou found it unbelievable. This was a life soul condensed from the first order of chaos. Its functions shouldn't be so monotonous, but Zhou had tried many times. Apart from self-healing, he really didn't discover anything special. Forget it. I'll think of a way to raise the other life souls to a perfect body as soon as possible. 2 essence energy arts with similar stats can allow this stat to break through to 41 points. Are there any essence energy arts I've already learned that have similar stats? Zhou began calculating his essence energy art. The Tao Sutra and the First Order of Chaos could be excluded. These two had already enhanced his essence energy stat. The Small Perfection of Wisdom Sutra was an essence energy art with a constitution attribute. The Ancient Sovereign Sutra was strength, and the Godfiend era was speed. Apart from these three, Zhou also cultivated the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. However, he had only just gained basic mastery of the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. He hadn't even condensed a life providence. However, Zhou could roughly sense that the sky-stealing sun-shifting art was somewhat similar to the Godfiend era. It seemed to have some spatial attributes, so it should be more inclined towards the speed attribute. Next, I'll cultivate the sky-stealing sun-shifting art and the Godfiend era. Zhou made up his mind to raise the Godfiend era life soul before cultivating the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. The life soul condensed from the Godfiend era was Lost Country. Zhou had actually been studying it for a long time. He had read many works regarding space and fought spatial dimensional creatures. He had vaguely figured out the way to advance. However, there had been too many things happening during this period of time, so he hadn't had the time to advance. The advancement method of Lost Country was difficult, but it wasn't difficult either. Zhou had always been using Lost Country's teleportation function. Every time he used teleportation, Lost Country would actually grow a little. However, teleportation could only be used once every 24 hours, so its growth was very slow. According to Zhou's estimations, he would need to use teleportation at least 1,000 times to evolve Lost Country. At this speed, it was impossible for him to advance to an evolved body in a few years. Then, to advance from an evolved body to a perfect body, he would definitely need more teleportations. Zhou didn't have the time to wait that long. It wasn't that there was no solution. After studying it for so long, Zhou thought of a solution. He found a mythical creature that could teleport. The companion egg that dropped was a Mount-type companion egg. Furthermore, it could teleport with its owner. As long as he could teleport, Lost Country should be able to advance. Zhou felt that if he could obtain such a companion beast, he could greatly reduce the time it took for Lost Country to advance to a perfect body. However, the companion beast named Mystic Bird was the Hero King's companion beast. It was said that when the hero king knew that he didn't have long to live, he had forcefully transferred the mystic bird to his descendant. That mystic bird could be said to be the Zhang family's most precious companion beast. Zhou didn't have much of a relationship with the Zhang family. He only knew Zhang Yuji, and their relationship wasn't that good. Zhou found it unrealistic to borrow the mystic bird from the Zhang family. It's probably unrealistic to fight the mystic bird companion beast myself. I'll ask Zhang Yuji first and see if she knows where the mystic bird dropped from. If there's a chance, I'll give it a try. If there's no chance, I can only take an unconventional approach. Zhou tried sending Zhang Yuji a message, but he wasn't sure if she could see it. He heard that Zhang Yuji usually didn't use her phone. He was already numb to death, but the effects weren't good. Teleporting once to Lost Country was equivalent to being killed dozens of times by the bright torch vision world. How good would it be if I had a mystic bird? Why isn't there a mystic bird in ancient sovereign city? Zhou was rather depressed. Now, Zhou had a deep understanding of how difficult it was for humans to advance to the mythical stage. It was impossible for an ordinary person to cultivate 8 essence energy arts at the same time, so it was impossible for them to raise their 4 basic stats to 41. This also meant that they had no chance of advancing to the mythical stage. Even if one could cultivate 8 essence energy arts at the same time, the cultivation methods of those essence energy arts were different. Without the help of the mysterious phone, it would be equally difficult to master them. For example, the Chaos Egg required constant injuries. An ordinary person would die if they weren't careful, so there was no point in cultivating it. The advancement of Slaughterer was even more insane. Was killing a guardian something an ordinary person could do? Even with a mythical pet, killing a guardian was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Unless I'm like Xia Zhihuang, forcefully plundering the talent bloodline of others for my own use, it's just too difficult for humans to advance to the mythical stage. Zhou felt a headache when he thought about how he still had several essence energy arts to cultivate. Furthermore, Zhou's essence energy arts weren't complete. The essence energy arts for speed and essence energy were considered complete. There was also the demon god catalog of unknown attribute. As it was difficult to determine its attributes, Zhou didn't plan on cultivating it for the time being. If the demon god catalog added strength and constitution, he was still lacking 1 essence energy art. If it wasn't, he was still lacking 2 essence energy arts. Perhaps he would get used to dying. Anyway, Zhou was a little numb. All he wanted now was to quickly advance Lost Country. Long-distance teleportation could be carried out every 24 hours. There was also the short-distance teleportation from before. He could use it 10 times in 24 hours. I'm one step closer to infinite teleportation. Zhou was rather satisfied with Civilized Country's ability, but he didn't know how to determine the coordinates. The dials in Ghost Face Mask's eyes were different, and the division was very strange. Could it be longitude and latitude? Zhou still hadn't figured out how to set the coordinates for this item. If he set it wrongly, it wouldn't be good if he was teleported to a pot of oil or a female bathroom. Forget it. I'll study it in the future. It won't be too late to study it after I raise Civilized Country to a perfect body. Zhou continued getting Torch Dragon to kill the blood-colored avatar with Bright Torch Vision World. However, Zhou realized that the blood-colored avatar's death gave him almost an imperceptible amount of energy. I can only obtain so little energy from dying once. When can Civilized Country advance to the perfect stage? Even if I drain all my blood, I'm afraid it won't be enough. Zhou knew that this path couldn't be taken. He had to think of other solutions. Young Master One, have you seen the news? Just as he was thinking, Anxing called. What news? Zhou asked in puzzlement. Recently, he had been grinding dungeons. At most, he would take the time to buy some food and daily necessities for a year. How could he have the time to watch the news? Take a look at today's headlines in Luoyang, Anxing said. Zhou didn't know what had happened. He went online and immediately saw a striking picture. It was a six-winged angel. To be precise, it was a woman wearing angel armor. She was killing a dimensional creature that had broken the seal. Isn't this the six-winged seraph that John contracted in the past? He found a new contractor? Zhou was delighted as he asked Anxing, "Is the place in this picture Luoyang?" Zhou thought that if the six-winged seraph was still in Luoyang, there was hope for his slaughterer advancement. If he wanted to kill a guardian, he had to do it as soon as possible. According to the silver-haired companion beast, guardians could continue growing. After contracting a human, they could even reach the calamity grade with the help of a human's body. It would only become harder and harder to kill them in the future. Yes, it's in a dimensional zone near Luoyang. I originally thought that the guardian had left, but I never expected him to still be nearby. Furthermore, there's a new contractor, Anxing said. Can we still find him now? Zhou asked. I've already sent someone to investigate. I'll inform you if there's any news. Anxing added, Madam wants you to bring your home for a meal when you have time. All right. Zhou had been in his dorm for a long time. Now that civilized country had reached a bottleneck, he planned on going out for a breather. He gamed every day while Yer sat alone in his dorm. He didn't know if she would have any psychological problems after such a long time. After getting Anxing to arrange a time, Zhou took Yer to see Ouyanglan. It was rare for Zhou Lingfeng to be around today. As Zhou rarely came to the Yin family, he rarely saw him. However, Zhou was already used to it. Before Zhou Lingfeng married Ouyanglan, he was often not at home, so he didn't find anything wrong. During the meal, Ouyanglan mentioned Zhou Lingfeng's matter. Only then did Zhou know that he was translating a book. He had been working on it for a long time and was about to finish it. What kind of book is it? Zhou asked curiously. With Ouyanglan around, Zhou Lingwen probably didn't need to do ordinary translation work. The books he was translating probably weren't just for money. Zhou Lingfeng said, It's a book from a small country in the South District before the dimensional storms. As the language itself isn't very mature and is mixed with many symbols, the translation didn't progress smoothly. Zhou listened for a while but didn't get a clue. He wasn't interested in text work to begin with. Sogu. Chapter 8:18. On the way back, Zhou walked the streets of Luoyang with Yer. He could clearly sense that Luoyang was much more desolate than when he first arrived. Life was difficult to begin with, and there were often breakout creatures appearing. In such a chaotic world, it was already very difficult to have a stable home. It was even more difficult to raise children. Many people chose not to have children. Even though the Federation had always been encouraging childbearing, the birth rate of newborns kept dropping. Yer curiously sized up everything around her. Everything here was novel to her. Although she wasn't a real child, her inner world wasn't much more mature than a child's. After all, she had been trapped near the Kumen-ne in the past. Apart from when she was needed to fight, Xiao Tianfang wouldn't take her out. Zhou thought that since he was out today, he should relax. He took Yer around and bought some things for her. He also let her try some normal entertainment. Although Yer didn't say anything, he could tell that she was still somewhat happy. When I have time in the future, should I take her out more often? Zhou thought to himself. Zhou felt that he was taking care of Yer, but he didn't realize that without Yer, he might become more and more accustomed to being alone. While Yer was experiencing the VR game, Zhou's phone rang. It was Zhang Yuji. You previously asked about the mystic bird. Do you only want one mystic bird, or do you want any companion beast that can help you escape? Zhang Yuji asked. Actually, I want a mount that can teleport. Do you have any connections? Zhou asked suspiciously. Zhang Yuji said, Not really. If you just want to escape, our Zhang family will be selling a companion beast that can escape through the earth. Perhaps you can try and see if you can get it. Earth escape companion beast? Is it a mount? Zhouwen hurriedly asked. If it was a mount, it would be very attractive to Zhouwen if it could escape through the earth with its owner. Apart from teleportation, earth escape was almost the best escape skill. Zhouwen naturally wanted a mount that could escape through the earth. If it wasn't a mount and couldn't bring people with it, its value would be much lower. Take the Tai Sui for example. Although it also knew how to escape through the earth, it was not very useful if it could not bring people along with it. It's a mount, and it's at the mythical stage. However, there are many people competing this time. It will probably fetch a high price, Zhang Yuji said. Why did your Zhang family sell such a companion beast? Zhouwen was somewhat puzzled. No one would mind having too many such companion beasts. Zhouwen found it unbelievable that the Zhang family wanted to sell it. If Zhouwen had such a companion beast, he definitely wouldn't sell it. The reason is very complicated. I can't explain it in a short period of time, but companion beasts are definitely real. If you're interested, you can come over and take a look. When the time comes, I can be a good host, Zhang Yuji said. Alright, what companion beast is it? Zhouwen asked. It's the earth elemental beast of the 5 elemental beasts. Zhang Yuji thought for a moment and said, there are a total of 5 elemental beasts. They are metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Each has different abilities. They were obtained from a dimensional zone. One has to have a corresponding special physique to obtain companion eggs of different attribute. There's no problem with the earth elemental beast's origins, but there are many people who want it, so the price might be very high. Zhouwen immediately understood that the earth elemental beast was likely the same as Banana Fairy. It was a companion egg obtained from a special dimensional zone, not something that dropped from killing a dimensional creature. After chatting with Zhang Yuji for a while, he learned that the auction would be held next month, so there was no rush. It's good to take a look when the time comes. With my current strength, I don't think I need to worry about the bureau. I'll use that batch of essence crystals. Zhouwen thought for a moment and felt that he couldn't directly use essence crystals at the auction. Therefore, he asked Xing if there were any channels to sell the essence crystals. The Sunset Army's arsenal needs a large number of essence crystals. Sell them to the arsenal directly. The price naturally won't let you suffer a loss, Xing said. Alright, Zhouwen agreed. After discussing the details of the transaction with Xing suddenly said, Are you interested in coming to the arsenal to take a look? That's not a good idea, right? Zhouwen was slightly taken aback. There's nothing bad about it. To others, the arsenal is a secret, but you are naturally different, young Master One. Furthermore, there's something I want you to take a look at, Xing said. Zhouwen originally didn't want to go, but since Xing had said so, he had no choice but to agree. After agreeing on a time, Zhouwen took Ye to the arsenal. The arsenal was in a dimensional zone. It used the dimensional zone's rules to effectively ensure that it was difficult for outsiders to enter. Furthermore, the arsenal had strict security measures. It was different from what Zhouwen had imagined. The arsenal was very modern and all sorts of equipment were very advanced. It looked like a futuristic high-tech laboratory in a movie. In this era, it was already very rare to see such a laboratory. Overseer searched for a long time before he found this dimensional zone. The taboo rules here are very special. They won't affect the operation of the equipment, Xing introduced to Zhouwen as they walked. Zhouwen saw many pieces of equipment that the Sunset Army was equipped with, such as essence gold bullets, essence gold shields, essence gold armor, etc. There were also some that Zhouwen had never seen before. They were likely still in development. The entire arsenal was built in an underground space and was divided into several levels. Zhouwen even saw an engine and transmission made of essence gold. It was truly surprising. Overseer has put in a lot of effort into the arsenal. He invests a lot of money every year. The expenditure on materials is a huge sum. Thankfully, scientists aren't valued by society these days. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to hire so many high-end professionals, Anxing said. What level are the Essence Gold weapons at now? Can they fight mythical creatures? Zhouwen asked. Pure Essence Gold weapons aren't enough. However, just like the bamboo blade you use, some high-level Essence Gold weapons can fight mythical creatures if the user is strong enough. However, this isn't absolute. What we are researching now might be able to break this situation. As Anxing spoke, his eyes seemed to glow. It was obvious that he was very proud of that item. What's that? Zhouwen asked curiously. Take a look for yourself. Anxing didn't directly answer Zhouwen. Instead, he took him to the lowest level of the arsenal. When the door to the independent laboratory opened, Zhouwen was immediately shocked by what he saw. Chapter 8:19. In the laboratory that was as huge as a warehouse, there was a strange device placed horizontally. It looked a little like a rocket launcher that could be carried on a person's shoulder. However, this thing was just too big. It was placed horizontally, and its length was almost at the limit of what the laboratory could accommodate. Furthermore, it looked even more high-tech. There were rings of crystals on it. In short, it was a huge rod made of metal and crystals. Is this all made of primordial gold? The crystals on it should be primordial crystals, right? Zhouwen asked in shock. If this thing was really made of primordial gold and primordial crystals, the amount of materials needed was unimaginable. Zhouwen's primordial crystals were already considered a lot, but when used on this huge machine, it only took up a small portion. 59% primordial gold, 28% primordial crystals, and the rest are supplementary materials, Anxing said. What is this thing? Don't tell me it's a large rocket launcher? Zhouwen asked. You can also treat it as a super-large rocket launcher. Its effects are similar, but it's different. This is an primordial energy compression accelerator, Anxing explained. Its main purpose is to compress primordial energy and accelerate it before firing it out. What level of power can it reach? Zhouwen asked curiously. Anxing thought for a moment and said, This is a very complicated problem. The strength depends on the amount of primordial energy and the speed after enhancement. With the current skill, it can compress primordial energy equivalent to 4.5 tons of primordial crystals at one go. Then, it can accelerate to supersonic speed. I don't understand all this. Is there a simpler analogy? Zhouwen asked. This is because I haven't used that many primordial crystals during the experiment, so the strength I'm talking about now is only in theory. According to the calculations, the strength of a full-powered primordial energy launch should be stronger than Tyrant Behemoth's full-powered strike. Of course, this is only in theory. In fact, a single launch requires a large number of primordial crystals. Furthermore, it takes a long time to refine the primordial crystals and then compress them with the launcher. Even if all the materials are prepared in advance, the launch will take more than 10 hours to reach its maximum power. It sounds very troublesome, Zhouwen said. It's indeed very troublesome. That's because the foundation at the beginning was too weak. Many of the technologies had to be explored bit by bit. Right now, it's not the best solution. However, from the looks of it, the path is correct. By compressing essence energy and accelerating it, the energy explosion produced is indeed very powerful. Furthermore, it deals great damage to dimensional creatures. It's much stronger than ordinary essence gold bullets. Speaking of this, Anxing appeared somewhat excited. Then, they created firearms, cars, ships, rockets, and so on, becoming the rulers of the entire Earth. Perhaps these essence energy armors and essence energy launchers were the weapons that humans would use to rule Earth again in the future. The premise was that the research was successful. The launchers of this size were too weak in actual combat. Overseer has always been looking forward to that day. He said that even if humans can't advance to the mythical stage and their physical strength can't match those powerful creatures, they will definitely be able to become the rulers of the world again, and Xing said. Looking at the busy staff in the laboratory, Zhou Wen suddenly felt that the future of humanity might not be hopeless. Many people were secretly working hard to prepare for the large-scale destruction of dimensional zones. The destruction of dimensional zones might not necessarily destroy humanity. The only thing they lacked now was time. Be it humans who were working hard in cultivation or those who wanted to advance to the mythical stage, people like them who were researching new weapons needed too much time. Zhou Wen left all the essence crystals with Xing. He originally planned on selling a portion of them, but in the end, he was persuaded by Xing to sell all the essence crystals to him. Furthermore, a portion of them were bartered. When he left, Zhou Wen realized that Xing had brought him to see the essence energy compression accelerator for the essence crystals. Chapter 820. There's something else I want to show you. After leaving the laboratory, Xing took Zhou Wen to the Sunset Army's camp. Xing brought Zhou Wen to a hall where there were many VR equipment. Give it a try, Xing said with a smile as he handed a VR helmet to Zhou Wen. Zhou Wen put on the helmet in puzzlement and entered the game. Soon, he nearly cried out in surprise. This game was very similar to what Huang Ji had made. However, Huang Ji had made a cell phone game, and this was much more high-end. It was a VR game with a full perspective. The scene looked very similar to the Real Tiger Cage Pass. Even the demonized soldiers and demonized generals could be passed off as real. However, the various settings and modes were very similar to the cell phone version. This game looks a little familiar, Zhou Wen said to Xing after taking off his helmet. You have a part in this game too. It's the game you and Huang Ji worked together to create. Overseer found Huang Ji to cooperate with him. This is the latest result. It's used to train recruits, Xing said. So the rich man senior Huang Ji mentioned is in Tianzhua. Zhou Wen never expected in Tianzhua to invest in a game made by Huang Ji. Zhou Wen remembered that in Tianzhua disliked him playing games. He never expected in Tianzhua to invest in this game. It was too surprising. Overseer isn't actually a bad person. He's just a little more stubborn than others, Xing said. It doesn't matter what kind of person he is. After all, we aren't the same type of people. It's impossible for us to have too many interactions in the future, Zhou Wen said. Xing shook his head and didn't continue the topic. Zhou Wen told Xing about the Earth Elemental Beast being auctioned. The Zhang family is actually auctioning the Earth Elemental Beast? Is this news accurate? Xing was alarmed when he heard that. Zhang Yuji told me. I don't think it's fake, right? Zhou Wen said. If Zhang Yuji said it, it definitely can't be fake. I never expected the Zhang family to auction the Earth Elemental Beast. I reckon the other 5 families and some wealthy families will participate in this auction. Xing's expression kept changing as though he was thinking about something. You know the origins of the Earth Elemental Beast? Zhou Wen seemed to know something from Xing's expression. In fact, the Earth Elemental Beast is only one of the 5 elemental beasts. This companion beast was brought out of the founding emperor tomb by the 6 heroes back then. There are a total of 5: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The Zhang family obtained the Earth Elemental Beast, but I have no idea where the other 4 went. Wasn't it brought out by the 6 heroes? Shouldn't the other 4 be in the hands of the other families? Zhou Wen asked in puzzlement. In theory, that's the case, but the other families say that they don't have a 5 elemental beast. Only the Zhang family has an Earth Elemental Beast. This matter is said to have made the 6 heroes very unhappy, but outsiders don't know the truth. Now that the Zhang family had suddenly auctioned the Earth Elemental Beast, there had to be an unknown reason. By the way, did Zhang Yuji say why they are auctioning the Earth Elemental Beast? Xing pondered. No. Zhou Wen shook his head slightly. If you are interested, you can go take a look. However, it will probably be a little difficult to take down the earth elemental beast. This auction definitely won't be that simple, Anxing said. Zhou nodded. He was indeed very interested, but he was more interested in the dimensional zone of the founding emperor tomb. If he had the chance, he wanted to see if the founding emperor tomb had a tiny palm symbol. Adjutant N, the six-winged seraphim has appeared again. As the two of them spoke, a soldier came over to report. Where is she? Anxing asked. Near Chess Mountain. The soldier handed the information he had just received to Anxing. Near Chess Mountain? Why is she going there? Anxing frowned slightly. Zhou didn't find it strange. The six-winged seraphim was originally released by the Dharch through tricking John into releasing it. Now, it was very normal for someone who had contracted the six-winged seraphim to go to Chess Mountain. Is there a specific location? I want to take a look, Zhou asked. According to the intelligence, she has been found near the Chiha River recently. If you want to find her, go there and take a look. There should be a chance. Anxing handed the information to Zhou. Alright, I'll go take a look now. Zhou read the intelligence and realized that it was indeed written as such. He decided to head over to take a look. I still have some matters to resolve, so I won't be sending you there. After all, you are familiar with the place. Deputy Governor Qin is still there. Just look for him when you go, Anxing said. After leaving the military camp, Zhou went to Chess Mountain. Most of the guardians didn't have masters yet, so they didn't have many choices. They could kill as many as they could, and the six-winged seraphim was a guardian that Zhou was more likely to kill. The only thing he needed to worry about was the Dharch. If it wasn't necessary, Zhou didn't want to see her. The Dharch was definitely not as simple as an ordinary mythical creature. Zhou suspected that she was very likely at the calamity grade. However, after arriving on Earth, her strength had been weakened by Earth's rules, reducing her to the level of an ordinary mythical creature. Even so, the Dharch was much stronger than ordinary mythical creatures. Yer was also brought over by Zhou. There were many strange creatures in Chess Mountain, such as blood threadworms. Zhou suspected that they were also Gu. Bringing Yer along might be of some use. Dr. Zhou, you're finally here. We were just talking about you. Before Zhou arrived at the Chess Mountain encampment, he first encountered the patrolling soldiers. The patrolling soldiers greeted Zhou in surprise. In the military camp, Anjing was training. She had been at the Chess Mountain encampment for so long, and every time she fought, she would try her best. However, no matter how well she did or how much credit she earned, others would only take it for granted. This was because she was from the An family and Tian's was sister. As for Zhou, he had only stayed in the military camp for a short period of time, but he had already obtained the support of the soldiers and officers. When others mentioned Zhou, they wouldn't mention his relationship with the An family. They would talk about Dr. Zhou with great reverence, and Jing didn't understand why everyone still treated her as An Tian's was sister when she had done as much as Zhou in Chess Mountain. How am I inferior to him? And Jing practiced very hard because she wanted to defeat that fellow. She couldn't lose. Just as she was practicing, she suddenly heard a commotion coming from the military camp. And Jing thought that something had happened, but when she went out to take a look, she saw many soldiers and officers surrounding a person. It was none other than Zhou, who she dreamed of defeating. And Jing's heart tightened, but she quickly relaxed. She thought to herself, you came just in time. It's time to end this. Sogu. Chapter 821. Upon seeing the way the soldiers looked at Zhou, Jing felt mixed emotions. It was something she wanted but couldn't obtain. Zhou, I'll surprise you this time, Jing thought. Even Qin Wufu came out to take a look when he heard the voice. When he realized that it was Zhou, he got someone to call him over. Little Zhou, have you thought it through and prepared to join me as a soldier? Qin Wufu poured a cup of water for him. I heard that the six-winged seraphim appeared near the Chiha River, so I came to take a look. Can you send someone to take me over to take a look? Zhou said. That's easy, but that six-winged seraphim's strength is extremely terrifying. I don't know if he's a friend or foe. If you encounter him, you have to be careful. Qin Wufu exhorted before saying to his adjutant, Call little Jing over. Governor, are you looking for Jing? Zhou hurriedly asked. That's right. You are family. She's currently in charge of that generation's supervision. Let her take you there, Qin Wufu said. There's no need to trouble her. Just find a soldier to take me there. Zhou didn't wish to get into trouble with Jing. It's not troublesome. It's also her job, Qin Wufu said with a smile. Seeing that the adjutant had already left, Zhou didn't say anything else. After all, he was just leading the way. It wasn't a big deal. He originally imagined that Jing wouldn't be willing to take him there, but to his surprise, after Jing came and listened to Qin Wufu's orders, she didn't show any special reaction. She was like an ordinary soldier who chose to carry out the orders. Looks like she didn't waste her time in the army. She has indeed matured a lot and isn't as childish as before. Seeing how Jing treated him like an ordinary person, Zhou felt that there wouldn't be any trouble on this trip. The two of them left the encampment and Jing led Zhou all the way to Chiha River. On the way, Jing didn't speak much. Zhou was happy to relax since he had no desire to communicate with her. However, Zhou soon discovered a problem. According to the intelligence, the place where the six-winged seraphim was found was near the Chiha River, but Jing had already walked into the nearby mountains and was a little far from the Chiha River. Didn't the six-winged seraphim appear near the Chiha River? Why are you in the mountains? Zhou had no choice but to ask. You're looking for a six-winged seraphim, right? Jing asked expressionlessly. Yes. Zhou nodded. That's right. Just follow me. There won't be any mistakes. Jing continued leading the way, but she thought to herself, You never imagined that I'm the current owner of the six-winged seraphim, right? Although you once defeated Hardadef, who possessed a six-winged seraph, Hardadef was unable to unleash the true power of a six-winged seraph. She's too dangerous. It's best not to have anything to do with her, Zhou said truthfully. If I want to become stronger, I naturally have to take risk. I know what to choose. There's no need for you to teach me. Jing looked at Zhou and slowly said, Regardless of victory or defeat today, the grudge between us will end here. Do you really have to fight me? Zhou asked Jing. Of course. Otherwise, why would I train so hard for so long? This time, I have to defeat you, Jing said. Even if you lose your guardian because of this? Zhou asked again. This time, without waiting for Jing's answer, the six-winged seraphim said, Only a guardian can defeat a guardian. Last time, John was too weak and couldn't even use a tenth of my strength. Now that Jing is my guardian, I can use my true strength. You have no chance of winning. Jing and I are perfect. I won't betray her. The six-winged seraphim clearly misunderstood and thought that Zhou meant that he would betray Jing like how he had betrayed John. If it were an unfamiliar guardian, even if its strength was similar to the six-winged seraphim, it would still be difficult to kill it so easily. Let's call it a day. If you really want to defeat me, use your own strength. Use the strength given to you by others. You can't defeat me. Zhou carried Yer and turned to walk back. Jing stood there motionlessly. Before the battle, she had thought of many things. She had thought of how to win and how to lose, but no matter how she thought about it, she never expected that she would lose before the battle even began. She originally thought that this would be an evenly matched battle, but now she suddenly realized that she didn't seem to have the qualifications to stand on the dueling platform. It was like an amateur challenging a professional boxer. The bell for the first round had only rung halfway when she had already fallen to the ground. I hope she won't find the arch again. Zhou had said those words because he didn't want Jing to have anything to do with the arch. After all, Jing was Ouyanglan's daughter. Although Zhou didn't like her, he didn't wish for anything to happen to her. After returning to the encampment, Zhou met a few acquaintances and gathered with them before returning to Luoyang the next day. Qin Wufu had been encouraging Zhou to give up his studies and come to work for him earlier. Zhou only politely declined and didn't agree. It wasn't that Zhou wasn't willing to contribute to protecting humanity, but that he felt that becoming stronger was the most important thing. As long as he could stand at the pinnacle of strength, he could completely eliminate the unstable factors and not passively defend. Zhou was willing to stay in school because the school would give him enough free time. It could also provide him with a lot of resources and information, allowing him to take the path he wanted and become stronger as soon as possible. However, if he entered the army, he would need to carry out missions. That could indeed help a portion of people, but what Zhou wanted wasn't just a portion. He wanted far more than that. After returning to school, Zhou began studying the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. This was because it was very difficult for civilized country to advance with the bright torch vision world. He had to think of other solutions, but he didn't have a better solution at the moment. Unless he could obtain a pet like the mystic bird, it wasn't easy. Therefore, Zhou could only study other essence energy arts. The sky-stealing sun-shifting art was a rather interesting essence energy art. Zhou had only just gained a basic mastery of it. Although he didn't feel too powerful, the circulation method of his essence energy was very interesting. Typical essence energy arts were mostly a sea of energy. An essence energy art like the Lost Immortal Sutra didn't have an essence energy sea, but the sky-stealing sun-shifting art had countless essence energy seas. When the sky-stealing sun-shifting art circulated, his body was like a pocket universe with countless stars revolving. Every star was an essence energy sea, and the entire pocket universe was a huge essence energy sea. As Zhou sensed the circulation of his essence energy, he pondered over the profundities of the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. He wanted to condense a life providence first. Condensing a life soul required the blood essence of a deity or a guardian. Otherwise, the simulated sky-stealing sun-shifting art wouldn't be able to condense a life soul without a foundation. However, a life providence wasn't that particular. All he needed to do was comprehend the secrets of the essence energy art. Why does this sky-stealing sun-shifting art pocket universe feel a little similar to the endless sea of stars? As Zhou sensed it, he suddenly realized something amiss. The layout of the stars in the pocket universe was very similar to the endless sea of stars. If Zhou hadn't spent a long time grinding essence energy skills in the endless sea of stars, he wouldn't have discovered this problem. Could it be? Zhou's heart stirred as he stopped practicing and took out his phone to enter the endless sea of stars dungeon. Zhou looked up at the stars in the endless sea of stars. After watching for a while, he heaved a long sigh of relief and revealed a look of delight. As expected, the circulation method of this sky-stealing sun-shifting art is a replica of the endless sea of stars. He only saw something flash when it devoured the planet. Zhou summoned Tyrant Behemoth and raised Truth Listener's ability to its limits to monitor the nearby area. Soon, Zhou realized that a nearby planet had been devoured, and he finally saw the devourer. With Truth Listener's ability, Zhou outlined the devourer's appearance in his mind, but he still couldn't see it. It was similar to what Zhou saw in real life. It was a transparent jellyfish-like monster, but compared to it in-game, its size was exaggerated. A small planet in the endless sea of stars was about the size of a bean beside it. It directly swallowed the entire planet. This size is much bigger than Tyrant Behemoth after its gigantification. When Zhou looked at it, the devourer had already wandered towards them. Zhou ordered the gigantified Tyrant Behemoth to face it. He wanted to test how strong the devourer was. After receiving Zhou's order, Tyrant Behemoth activated absolute strength and pounced forward. The devourer was really like a jellyfish. The countless tentacles below trembled as its body rose at an unbelievable speed, dodging Tyrant Behemoth's attack. After Tyrant Behemoth struck, it didn't continue chasing. It stood there in a daze. Zhou immediately understood. He could see the Devourer with Truth Listener, but Tyrant Behemoth couldn't. It naturally couldn't attack an enemy it couldn't see. Zhou commanded Tyrant Behemoth to fight, but Tyrant Behemoth relied on its instincts to fight. There was a delay when Zhou commanded it. Before long, the Devourer devoured Tyrant Behemoth's body. It was unknown what the Devourer's body was made of. Tyrant Behemoth, who possessed absolute strength, failed to escape after being devoured. This is really troublesome. Tyrant Behemoth can't see it, so it's at a disadvantage in battle. Furthermore, if I can't see it, Torch Dragon's bright torch vision world will be useless. If I want to kill the Devourer, I'll probably have to rely on Truth Listener. Zhou summoned the Golden Overlord sword and relied on Truth Listener's ability to lock onto the Devourer's location. He gathered all his strength and slashed at the Devourer with immortal slaying. However, in the next second, Zhou felt the blood-colored avatar's body sink into a vortex before the phone screen went black. Game over. What a powerful Devourer. Tyrant Behemoth and Torch Dragon probably can't do anything to it. The only one who can fight it is probably Truth Listener. Zhou thought for a moment and realized that he didn't have a good solution to the Devourer. However, the risk of Truth Listener undoing multiple earrings was too great. If he only undid one or two, he probably wouldn't be able to kill the Devourer. He entered the endless sea of stars again. This time, Zhou circled around the area. He couldn't think of a way to kill the Devourer for the time being, so he ignored it. He roamed the endless sea of stars and condensed the life providence of the sky-stealing, sun-shifting art. However, the Devourer was elusive. Zhou had already circled around it, but to his surprise, it would appear in different star systems. Every time Zhou wanted to run, he couldn't escape. He was devoured by its black hole-like power. The only time Zhou escaped was when he used civilized countries' long-distance spatial teleportation skill to teleport to a place where the Devourer couldn't see him. However, he was still found and killed by the Devourer. Zhou originally imagined that it was a problem with the game's respawn. Every time he respawned, the Devourer would respawn in a different star system, but after dying so many times, Zhou began to suspect it. Every time I enter the endless sea of stars, as long as I leave the area of the 28 lunar mansions, I will encounter it at about the same time. This definitely isn't as simple as a random respawn. Could it be that the Devourer has the ability to teleport? Zhou was pleasantly surprised when he thought of this possibility. There was no hope for the mystic bird. If the Devourer also had the ability to teleport, he could attempt to kill it. If a companion egg dropped, perhaps the problem of advancing civilized country would be resolved. Zhou felt that the mental connection between him and Truth Listener was about to be severed. It had already become indistinct and difficult to continue. As for Truth Listener, it could already resist his orders. Come back! Zhou tried to summon Truth Listener back, but it was useless. Thankfully, while Truth Listener was resisting Zhou's will, the Devourer took the opportunity to devour it and kill it. Zhou exited the game and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the Truth Listener earring was still there in reality. He summoned Truth Listener and the dark gold six-eared golden-threaded monkey appeared in his hand. Thankfully, there was nothing amiss. Indeed, I can't open the earring again. Zhou felt a lingering fear and didn't dare try again. Zhou had already tried all the methods he could think of, but he couldn't do anything to the Devourer. All he could do was slowly think of a way to deal with it. Now, Zhou could only use his invisibility to escape. If he was found again, he would get Truth Listener, who had 2 shattered earrings, to hold it back. Zhou would continue exploring the endless sea of stars and comprehend the sky-stealing, sun-shifting art. It wasn't too much of a problem to use Truth Listener to hold back the Devourer. As Zhou fought with the Devourer, he traveled the endless sea of stars. After some time, he got used to it. What puzzled Zhou was that apart from the Devourer, he didn't see a single mythical astral beast in the endless sea of stars. Could it be that all the mythical astral beasts have been devoured by the Devourer? Zhou guessed. The sky-stealing sun-shifting art's pocket universe became more and more perfect. Zhou vaguely felt that he was about to condense a life providence. Indeed, in less than 2 days, the sky-stealing sun-shifting art began to condense a life providence. The pocket universe in his body emitted resplendent starlight. After everything was over, the sky-stealing sun-shifting art's life providence was successfully condensed. Zhou hurriedly looked at the life providence's information. Life providence, pocket universe, primordial body. This life providence is really called pocket universe? Zhou was slightly taken aback. He never expected the life providence to match the essence energy art's situation perfectly. I wonder what the life providence condensed by senior brother Lu Yun is? Zhou wanted to ask Lu Yun, but he couldn't find him. Although the two of them had cultivated the sky-stealing sun-shifting art, their talent and bloodlines were different. Their thoughts were different, so the life providences they condensed were different. Pocket universe. Developing a universe with one's body. What does it mean to develop a universe with one's body? Zhou was momentarily confused as to what this life providence meant. However, when Zhou switched to the pocket universe life providence and used the sky-stealing sun-shifting art, he understood a little. Zhou didn't know the other functions for the time being, but he definitely wouldn't get lost again. The pocket universe life providence was like a GPS. No matter where he went, he could know his location in the universe. Ignoring the fact that he wouldn't get lost on Earth, Zhou estimated that he wouldn't get lost even in the universe. After all that, this life providence is a locator? Zhou was already suspicious of his previous guess. He suspected that the sky-stealing sun-shifting art was an essence energy art that enhanced speed. The next step is to condense a life soul. I'll first try to see if the Guardian's blood in the underground sea can help advance the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. Although Zhou wasn't the Guardian's match, it wasn't difficult to obtain a drop of blood. He could also grind the 9 dragons again. The Guardian had a spatial attribute. Zhou felt that it should be very compatible with the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. It was highly likely that it would work. The 9 dragons didn't drop anything useful. Zhou forcefully extracted the drop of blood from the Guardian. To his surprise, the drop of blood couldn't be absorbed by the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. It doesn't work? Zhou's heart skipped a beat. All he could do was head to Ant City to give it a try. This time, Zhou still prayed inwardly that he wouldn't be compatible with the Guardian of Ant City. Otherwise, the sky-stealing sun-shifting art might very well be an essence energy art that enhanced his essence energy attribute. Zhou no longer needed such an essence energy art. Cultivating it would be a waste of time. After Zhou tried it in trepidation, he was thankful that it couldn't be absorbed by the sky-stealing sun-shifting art. While Zhou was delighted, he was also somewhat depressed. Now that the blood of the 2 guardians wasn't good, he didn't know where to find another drop of compatible guardian blood. This is really troublesome. Zhou only knew a few guardians. Furthermore, once a guardian contracted a human and truly broke out of the cocoon, his blood would be useless. He had to find a guardian that hadn't broken out of the cocoon and extract his blood essence. Chapter 825. Are there any guardians related to the stars or the universe? Zhou sat on the sofa and muttered to himself. It was just too difficult to find a suitable guardian. Most importantly, Zhou didn't know where those guardians were. Zhou had the urge to return to the phoenix's nest with the chick and discuss with the phoenix to see if he could obtain a drop of blood essence from the cocoon the phoenix was guarding. Just as he was considering it, the antelope walked over and stood opposite Zhou, writing on the ground with its hooves. Zhouwen was somewhat surprised. The antelope usually didn't pay much attention to Zhouwen, so he didn't know why it had suddenly come over. He hurriedly looked at the ground. "You want to find a guardian related to the stars?" The antelope wrote on the ground. "So what if I am? Do you know where I can find one?" Zhouwen asked. "Haven't you already seen one before? Why are you asking where I can find one?" The antelope continued writing. "When did I see one?" Zhouwen frowned. He didn't remember seeing such a guardian. "Not only have you seen one, but you've also memorized it." The antelope looked at Zhouwen teasingly and continued writing. "When did I memorize?" Zhouwen suddenly reacted as he widened his eyes and asked the antelope, "Are you saying that there's a guardian inside that log?" The antelope smiled at Zhouwen and wrote, "That's a guardian with the life providence of the Lord of the Stars. It's also a top-notch existence among guardians. You originally had the chance to contract it, but unfortunately you messed things up. Not only did you fail to contract it, but you even became an enemy. Are you regretting it now?" "You didn't say so earlier." "How would I know?" Zhouwen said helplessly. "Why, you have to carry that log with you all the time. Do you want me to tell you in front of her that you have to lie to her and think of a way to cheat her?" The antelope curled its lips. "You could have told me ahead of time." Zhouwen paused before continuing, "Let's not talk about this for now. Do you have a way to help me obtain a drop of her blood essence?" "Why do you want her blood essence?" The antelope looked at Zhouwen in puzzlement. "I'm cultivating an essence energy art, but I don't have a special physique that matches it. I need a drop of guardian blood of the same attribute as a foundation," Zhouwen said. "What essence energy art is it?" the antelope asked. "Sky-stealing, sun-shifting art." Zhouwen had no intention of hiding it. Having followed him for so long, the antelope naturally knew that he knew many primordial energy arts. There was nothing to hide. "So it's that heaven-stealing art. It's possible to use her blood essence as a foundation." When the antelope said that, it pondered for a moment before continuing. "Now that she has returned to Forbidden City, the essence energy in Forbidden City will definitely be extremely terrifying. Furthermore, she probably doesn't have a good impression of you. Even if you have a companion beast like Tyrant Behemoth, you will probably die after entering. It's basically impossible to obtain her blood essence. Is there no other way?" Zhouwen was somewhat disappointed. Since even the antelope said that there was no hope, Zhouwen felt that there was no need to take the risk. To his surprise, the antelope changed the topic and continued writing. "However, your luck isn't bad. I happen to have some of her blood essence." "You have her blood essence? When did you get it?" Zhouwen found it unbelievable. The guardian had always been inside the log, and the log had never been opened. The antelope had never touched the log, so how could it obtain the blood essence? Of course not now. The one in the log is one of the few guardians who survived the previous battle of guardians. This blood essence was obtained in the past. After the antelope finished writing, its body shook and a small jade bottle fell out from the fur under its neck. This fellow actually hid something? Zhouwen sized up the antelope's fur in surprise. The antelope's fur was very short. Only the fur on its neck was slightly longer, but it couldn't hide a bottle. It was unknown how it hid it. Zhouwen reached out to take the jade bottle, but he was blocked by the antelope's hooves. "You can have the blood essence, but I have a condition," the antelope wrote. "You live and eat from me, yet you want to negotiate with me?" Zhouwen frowned. "Do you want it or not?" The antelope had no intention of reasoning with Zhouwen. "All right, tell me. What condition do you have?" Zhouwen had no choice but to ask patiently. "In the future, if you have the ability, you have to make a trip to Forbidden City again and get something from her. Originally, as long as you contract with her, that thing would be ours, but it ended up in this state. Now, there's no other way but to use force," the antelope wrote. "What's that?" Zhouwen asked. "You'll know when the time comes. Don't worry, I'll help you. When the time comes, we'll do as we agreed." We'll split it 20 to 80. No, we said 20 to 80 in the past because you were the one who found the log. Now that we're cooperating, we naturally can't split it 20 to 80. 40 to 60. I'll take 60% and you take 40%. After all, I don't know anything, so the risk is greater. Although Zhou didn't know what it was, he wasn't willing to suffer a loss. Since he wanted the blood essence, he definitely had to agree to the antelope's conditions. It wasn't a bad idea to fight for some benefit. Impossible. The antelope rejected him directly. Seeing that it was very determined, Zhou said, "Then let's split 50 to 50. It can't be any lower." "You don't want the blood essence?" The antelope pointed at the jade bottle. 40 to 60. You take 60% and I'll take 40%. This is my bottom line. Furthermore, you have to work together. You can't let me bear it alone, Zhou said. Chapter 8:26. It was a purple star that resembled a particle. It emitted a resplendent divine light as it floated between Zhou's eyebrows like a gem. Life soul. Dust, primordial body, speck of dust. Billions of grains of sand in the Milky Way are just specks of dust in the boundless universe. One speck of dust can be 3,000 worlds. Zhou looked at the fine dust life soul and felt that it emitted powerful stellar forces. A small amount of information surged into Zhou's mind at the same time, allowing him to roughly know some information about fine dust. Although it was called fine dust, it was actually a miniature star. Using the fine dust life soul and the pocket universe life providence, Zhou could traverse the cosmos. This was somewhat similar to civilized countries' ability. The difference was that the fine dust life soul could only travel between planets. As long as there were planets in the pocket universe, Zhou could use fine dust's ability to transmigrate to that planet. For example, the moon, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and other planets that were relatively close to Earth, as well as the planets in the 28 lunar mansions, and even more distant planets. As long as they were included in the pocket universe, they could be teleported there through the fine dust. However, fine dust's cooldown was even longer. It could only be used once a month. Zhou originally wanted to try heading to the moon to take a look, but on second thought, he immediately gave up on this plan. His current body didn't have the ability to survive in space. He could only teleport once a month. If he teleported out now, he wouldn't be able to return. When the time came, wouldn't he suffocate to death in space? Fine dust's ability looks impressive, but it doesn't seem to be of much use. This thing can only be used for interstellar travel and can't be freely teleported within a planet. However, humans haven't discovered any habitable planets other than Earth. Isn't teleporting out courting death? Zhou was somewhat depressed. Fortunately, other than the interstellar teleportation ability, the dust also had speed, strength, and vitality enhancement effects. At night, when the stars were bright, it could also enjoy the enhancement of the stars. It was also possible during the day, but because the sunlight was too strong during the day, the blessing from the other stars was weaker. The main blessing came from the sun. Thankfully, after advancing to the mythical stage, one would typically have the ability to survive in space. This ability would definitely be of great use in the future. This was the basic use of fine dust. He needed to figure out the other uses and abilities himself. How can I advance fine dust? Zhou continued studying the advancement method of the fine dust life soul. After entering the game, Zhou tried fine dust's interstellar teleportation ability. It really worked. The fine dust on his forehead flashed with purple light as it brought Zhou across more than half the pocket universe and arrived on a tiny planet he had never been to. After that, fine dust entered a cooldown state and could only be used again after a month. The cooldown time is too long. Interstellar teleportation felt great, but it could only be used once a month. It was too much of a waste. Thankfully, Zhou didn't plan on using it in real life. Otherwise, if he was in a rush, it would be too late after a month. After studying it in-game for a long time, he failed to discover how to level up fine dust. The method of observing the pocket universe to condense a life soul clearly didn't work on fine dust. Zhouwen, are you coming to the auction? Zhang Yuji sent Zhouwen a message. Of course, Zhouwen replied. Although Civilization International could also teleport, the restrictions were too great. Earth escape mounts were still more practical. Even if he couldn't get it, he could go there to broaden his horizons. It was rare to see the 6 families appear together. Remember to inform me before you arrive. I'll arrange a place for you to stay. There are too many people participating in the auction this time, so it's not convenient to stay outside. You can stay in my family's courtyard, Zhang Yuji said. All right. Zhouwen didn't plan on standing on ceremony. It was rare for Zhang Yuji to chat with him for a while today, but it didn't last more than 10 minutes. Then, there was suddenly no more messages, as though she had suddenly gone offline. Could she be playing with her phone behind her family's back? Zhouwen thought of this possibility. To the Zhang family, Zhang Yuji was just too important. Her every move was strictly protected by the Zhang family. Many things were beyond her control. From the looks of it, being too special might not be a good thing. People like Zhang Yuji and Wang Lu have abilities that others dream of, but they might not necessarily feel happy about it, Zhouwen thought. In the morning, Zhouwen took Yer out for a spin. Ever since the last time, Zhouwen would take the time to take her out for a walk every morning, allowing her to come into contact with human society. There were also students in Sunset College who took care of children, but they were basically graduate students. He was the first second-year student like Zhouwen to take care of a child. Thankfully, everyone in the college knew of Zhouwen and Ouyanglan's relationship, so no one said anything. Zhouwen, Yer's clothes seem to be too small. It's time to buy her new clothes. Zhouwen brought Yer to the Xianwen Club's activity room. When Fang Ruoshi saw Yer, she pointed at her clothes. Only then did Zhouwen realize that Yer's clothes were indeed a little small. Children grew very quickly. It had only been a month, but she had already grown quite a bit. You are still a boy. How can you take care of Yer? Why don't you hire a professional nanny to take care of her? Fang Ruoshi suggested. There's no need. I'll slowly learn how to take care of her. Zhouwen naturally couldn't let anyone take care of Yer. Who knew what would happen? Old Zhou, don't tell me Yer is really your daughter? Tian Xiangdong said. It would be great if that's the case. Zhouwen was somewhat helpless. If she was really his daughter, Zhouwen could still ask Ouyanglan to help him take care of her. Unfortunately, she wasn't. No matter how troublesome it was, Zhouwen could only take care of Yer himself. How old is this lass? My relative's child is even younger than her, but she already knows how to call them daddy and mommy. Why can't she say a single word? Did you not teach her? Tian Xiangdong teased Yer as he spoke. Yer, call him uncle. Uncle. Yer sat on the small stool and looked at Tian Xiangdong without any change in expression. Tian Xiangdong felt like a fool. He laughed dryly and stopped teasing her. Yer, wait here for me. Don't mess around, all right? Zhouwen went to the bathroom and couldn't bring Yer with him. He thought that it would be fine to leave her here for a while. Before he left, Zhouwen exhorted Fang Ruoshi to take care of Yer and not let anyone tease her. Not long after Zhouwen left, someone came to the activity room. When he saw Yer sitting on the small stool, he couldn't help but be taken aback. Why is there a child here? The person asked Yer. Chapter 8:27. This is Zhou Wen's adopted child, Tian Xiangdong said when he saw Yunyo. Yunyo was a freshman who had just joined the Xianwen Club. Zhouwen had yet to meet him. Ah, so it's the famous senior Zhou Wen's child. I never expected senior Zhou Wen to not only have extremely high cultivation talent, but he's also so compassionate. He's virtuous and skilled. As Yunyo spoke, he went forward to pinch Yer's face. This child is really cute. What's her name? Yer took 2 steps back and dodged Yunyo's hand. This child is afraid of strangers. Don't scare her, Feng Ruoshi said to Yunyo as she held Yer back. Kids should be more lively. After seeing more people, they will naturally not be afraid. As Yunyo spoke, he searched his body and took out a handful of candies from his pocket. Here, these candies are all high-grade goods. They are very delicious. Call me uncle and I'll give them all to you. Yer only looked at Yunyo without a word. Seeing that Yer wasn't moved, Yunyo peeled a candy and placed it in his mouth to chew. As he chewed, he said, "It's fragrant and sweet. This piece is for you. Try it first." However, Yer didn't reach out to take it and continued looking at him expressionlessly. "What's wrong with this kid?" Yunyo frowned slightly. He had seen many children, but none of them were like Yer. Some introverted and timid children, even if they did not dare to take it or were frightened by him, would still show it. They would not be so expressionless. However, Yer clearly wasn't afraid of him. She looked at him but ignored him. "You don't like candy? I still have a lot of treasures here, see if you like them." Yunyo opened his backpack and took out a rattledrum, a pistol, a rag doll, a bell, and other toys. He placed them on the table one by one. "Look at how fun this is. Here you go." Yunyo held the rattledrum and shook it in front of Yer. However, Yer continued looking at him without any intention of reaching out to take it. "Is this child deaf and mute?" Yunyo asked gloomily. "What deaf and mute? She's so young and can't even speak. By the way, why do you have so many children's toys? Where did you get them?" Tian Xiangdong asked. "I bought this for my niece to play with during the holidays. But it looks like these things aren't enough to attract little girls," Yunyo said with some annoyance. "I didn't expect you to be so attentive. You actually know to buy something for your niece," said Tian Xiangdong with a smile. "I just didn't know what to buy, so I bought a little of everything. From the looks of it, it still doesn't work." As he spoke, Tian Xiangdong picked up the toys and handed them to Yer one by one. "What about this? Do you like this?" Yunyo tried many things, but Yer didn't react. Just as Yunyo was feeling hopeful, Yer suddenly pointed into Yunyo's backpack. Yunyo was delighted. "What do you want? Uncle will give it to you." Yer continued pointing into the backpack with her tiny finger. Yunyo poured out everything in the backpack and said to Yer, "Which one do you like? Take it yourself." Yer reached out to grab something. When Yunyo saw what Yer was grabbing, he couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. "Strange, why is that thing in my backpack? Could it be that I accidentally stuffed it in when I was putting something in it?" This. Yunyo wanted to stop Yer, but after some thought, he let Yer grab the item. It was a necklace with many rubies inlaid on it. It looked very beautiful. Although the value of gems wasn't as expensive as before, this necklace was obviously a fine product. If it were before the dimensional storms, it would probably have been auctioned off for hundreds of millions. Even now, it was probably worth some money. After all, such gems were still very rare. A girl is a girl. She's known to love beauty since she was young. She chose such a beautiful necklace. "Yunyo, this necklace of yours isn't real, right?" Tian Xiangdong said. "How can it be real? It's a replica. If she likes it, let her play with it," Yunyo said. "That's good." Feng Ruoshi pulled Yer and said, "Yer, I'll put it on for you." Yer released her hand. After Feng Ruoshi took the necklace, she put it on Yer's neck and said, "Yer is really beautiful." However, Yer didn't react. She remained expressionless with the necklace on, as though she had facial paralysis. "Does the necklace look good? Do you still want it? Uncle has even prettier ones. Let Uncle hug you and I'll give you a lot of beautiful jewelry," Yunyo said to Yer as he took out a pearl necklace from the toys. However, Yer wasn't moved. She turned her head to the side as though she was impatient with him. The corners of Yunyo's eyes twitched as he thought to himself, "All right, you ingrate. You turned your back on me after taking something." However, no matter how Yunyo coaxed her, Yer ignored him. "Yunyo, it looks like you aren't very popular with children. Stop teasing her, Tian Xiangdong said. From the looks of it, that's the only way. Yun-Yo nodded, but he suddenly reached out and forcefully picked up Yer. Yun-Yo, don't do this. You will scare Yer. Fang Ruoshi frowned and was about to carry Yer back. However, Yun-Yo took 2 steps back. With a bang, white smoke emitted from his body. When the smoke dissipated, Yun-Yo and Yer were gone. Tell Zhou-Wen that if he wants this little girl to live, come to Mount Dragon Tiger alone. An ethereal voice sounded, but there was no sign of anyone. Fang Ruoshi and Tian Xiangdong's expressions changed drastically as they quickly chased after them, but there was no sign of Yun-Yo or Yer. At that moment, Zhou-Wen walked over. Tian Xiangdong immediately said, Zhou-Wen, bad news. Yer has been snatched away, Fang Ruoshi said anxiously. Let's chase after him. He shouldn't have escaped the school yet. There's no need to chase after him. We can't catch up. That person's name is Yun-Yo? Zhou-Wen had already seen it. He was afraid that Yer would cause trouble, so he kept watching Yer with truth listener. Zhou-Wen had clearly seen everything that had happened in the activity room, but he never expected Yun-Yo to suddenly do such a thing. Even he couldn't stop him in time. Yes, his name is Yun-Yo. He's a first-year freshman. He just joined the club not long ago. I never expected. Zhou-Wen, sorry. I'll go with you to Mount Dragon Tiger. No matter what, I have to save Yer. Fang Ruoshi felt terrible. Zhou-Wen had asked her to take care of Yer, but someone had snatched her away in front of her. There's no need. I know who took Yer away. It's fine. You don't have to blame yourself. Not to mention you, even the 6 families can't stop him from stealing, Zhou-Wen said. Chapter 828. Lu Yun left Luoyang with Yer and rode a huge eagle into the forest. Even if Tianzhua personally gave the order to capture him, it would probably be too late. Hee, lass, with you in my hands, I'm not afraid that bastard Zhou-Wen won't come to Mount Dragon Tiger. Lu Yun glanced at Yer, who was sitting beside him. To his surprise, if an ordinary child were to encounter such a situation, they would have long cried from fright. However, Yer's face remained expressionless as though nothing had happened. She was no different from before as she obediently sat on the eagle's back. She wasn't afraid of heights. Is she a fool? Lu Yun felt that there was definitely something wrong with Yer's head. How could a normal child be so calm? Not to mention a 1-year-old child, even an 11 or 12-year-old child would have been scared to tears. Come, give me the necklace. I'll change it for you. Seeing that Yer was a little silly, Lu Yun wasn't in the mood to say anything else to her. He reached out to take off the necklace on her neck. This necklace was extraordinary. It was a treasure of the Cape family. Although it wasn't a dimensional item, this necklace was very famous before the dimensional storms. This necklace was called Gift of the God of Love. Before the dimensional storms, the queens of several countries had worn it. It was a priceless treasure. However, this necklace also had another name. It was called the Widow Queen. In the beginning, this necklace was a gift from a king to his queen. In order to express his love for the queen, the king collected the best rubies at that time, and with the help of a famous master, he created the Gift of the Goddess of Love. However, who knew that the good times wouldn't last long? Not long after the necklace was given away, the king died of illness, and the queen became the queen regent. Later on, this necklace changed hands a few more times. Its owners were all queens, and they were all the kind whose husbands had died. When Lu Yun went to the Cape family to steal something, he accidentally discovered the gift of the God of Love and stole it back. Although this thing wasn't a dimensional item, many women liked this necklace, especially those who were powerful and married. Many of them were willing to buy this necklace at a high price. Lu Yun knew that the mistress of a wealthy family had been looking for this necklace for a long time. If he brought it to her, he could exchange it for many resources. Lu Yun originally planned on auctioning the necklace when he had the chance in the future, so he naturally couldn't give it to Yer. Lu Yun wanted to take off the necklace, but Yer naturally refused and retreated. However, they were sitting on the eagle's back. If Yer retreated, her body would fall. Lu Yun hurriedly held her back, preventing her from falling. Lu Yun hurriedly held her back, preventing her from falling. Lu Yun thought to himself that since the person's words were in his hands, Yer couldn't escape. It wouldn't be too late to take it off when she was tired of wearing it. There was no need to force her to take it off. That bastard Zhou Wen caused me to suffer so much the last time. I'll teach you a lesson this time. Lu Yun had been planning this for a long time. He had disguised himself as a student and sneaked into Sunset College. He had even joined the Xianwen Club to think of a way to get Zhou Wen to mount Dragon Tiger. The auction location for the Earth Elemental Beast was the Zhang family's Dragon Tiger Mountain. Lu Yun was also very interested in the Earth Elemental Beast, but he naturally wouldn't use money to auction it. He wanted to steal the Earth Elemental Beast before the auction. Lu Yun had already tried, but ever since he entered the Zhang family to steal something, the Zhang family had been wary of him. This time, they nearly captured him alive. Lu Yun knew that it wouldn't be easy for him to steal the Earth Elemental Beast, so he planned on finding someone to help him. Therefore, he thought of Zhou Wen and planned on using Yer to force Zhou Wen to help him steal it. That bastard caused me so much trouble last time. I can't let him have it easy this time. I'll let him do all the dirty work. In the end, after I take the Earth Elemental Beast, I'll dump him. Lu Yun couldn't help but laugh out loud when he thought of this. Ha ha, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. Lu Yun laughed heartily, but as he laughed, his expression turned ugly. This was because he realized that he couldn't stop. He kept laughing. Ha ha. Ha ha. What's going on? Ha ha. What's going on? Ha ha. Lu Yun couldn't stop laughing. His mouth was almost crooked from laughing, but he couldn't stop. He covered his mouth with his hand, but he couldn't stop laughing. Instead, he looked even more wretched as though he was secretly laughing. After a while, Lu Yun finally stopped laughing. What's going on? Could it be that Zhou Wen still has something up his sleeves? He knows that I snatched Yer, so he's messing with me? Lu Yun checked his body, but he didn't discover any curse-like powers. I'm not cursed. Could it be that I'm too happy? Lu Yun couldn't help but be puzzled when the ring on his hand didn't react. Ever since he fell for Zhou Wen's trick, Lu Yun had thought of many ways to prevent himself from being cursed. He had obtained many companion beasts to resolve this problem. The purification ring was one of them. Although the purification ring couldn't remove all curses, it would react as long as one was cursed. It was very convenient to use it to detect curses. Now that the purification ring didn't react, it meant that Lu Yun wasn't cursed. Lu Yun carefully checked his body again and didn't find any problems, so he didn't continue laughing. From the looks of it, I might have been too happy just now. Lu Yun thought for a moment and felt that it was possible. He had seen people who couldn't stop laughing. After flying for a while, Yer suddenly said, I'm hungry. So you can speak? Lu Yun looked at Yer in surprise. However, Yer didn't say anything else. She just looked at Lu Yun. All right, I'll take you to eat when we reach the city ahead. Lu Yun controlled the giant eagle and flew towards a nearby city. After arriving at the city, Lu Yun took Yer for a stroll. Yer stopped in front of a dessert shop and pointed inside, indicating that she wanted to eat this. However, Lu Yun curled his lips and said, What's so delicious about these things that aren't nutritious? Besides, as a godly thief, how can I pay for food myself? I'll take you to a free meal. Yer followed Lu Yun expressionlessly. This was what Lu Yun was most satisfied with. Although Yer was a little strange, she didn't cry or make a fuss. It saved Lu Yun a lot of trouble. Not long after, Lu Yun brought Yer to a hotel. The hotel looked rather high-end and very lively. However, there was one thing. At the entrance of the hotel, there were many wreaths and elegiac couplets. It was as though someone had died and was having a funeral. Our beloved old Master Chen is a generous and helpful person. He is a good leader in the company, a good husband and a good father, ha. Laughter rang out again. This time, everyone's eyes quickly turned to where Lu Yun was sitting. The people from the Chen family had murderous looks in their eyes. Lu Yun felt like crying. He really didn't want to laugh, but he couldn't help it. It was fine if he covered his mouth just now, but now that he covered his mouth, he couldn't stop laughing. Instead, it made his expression look even more wretched. It was as though he was covering his mouth and laughing secretly. Are you King here to cause trouble? The three Chen brothers couldn't tolerate it any longer. Their friends and relatives were also filled with righteous indignation. Instantly, hundreds of people in the hall stood up and surrounded Lu Yun. All of them had unfriendly expressions. Ha. I really didn't want to laugh. Ha. Lu Yun laughed as he spoke. He really couldn't control himself. Beat him to death. The three Chen brothers were truly enraged. The others couldn't stand it any longer and rushed forward to beat him up. Ah! A tragic cry sounded in the hall. When Lu Yun escaped with a swollen face, he saw that Yer had run out at some point in time. She was outside the hotel. Lu Yun picked up Yer and fled. Behind him, a group of people were shouting for him to kill. Ha. Don't hit the face. These people don't even know the rules. Ha. After escaping the pursuit, Lu Yun was still laughing with a swollen face. As he laughed, he even pulled at the wounds on his face, causing him to grit his teeth in pain. What the hell? Why can't I stop laughing? As Lu Yun spoke, he realized that he wasn't laughing. He was even more alarmed and puzzled. What's going on? Lu Yun glanced at Yer and saw her point at the cake shop. Hungry. How old is this brat? It's impossible for it to be her problem. Could it be that I offended some taboo in school and didn't notice it? Lu Yun thought to himself. With things already in this state, it was impossible for him to scrounge for food. Lu Yun had no choice but to take Yer to the cake shop to buy some desserts for her. As Yer ate, she looked at the wounds on Lu Yun's face. Lu Yun took a bite of the cake and tugged at the wound at the corner of his mouth. The pain made the corners of his mouth twitch as he said gloomily, "What are you looking at? Don't think that I'm not their match. I can kill all of them with a flick of my finger, but I'm a professional person. I'm not a bandit. Do you understand?" Yer lowered her head and continued eating the desserts. It was unknown if she understood him. Zhou knew that Lu Yun had taken Yer away to force him to go to Mount Dragon Tiger. He wasn't worried that Lu Yun would harm Yer. Lu Yun wasn't someone who would attack a child. Furthermore, he was going to Mount Dragon Tiger anyway, so it didn't matter if he went there early. Lu Yun wants me to go to Mount Dragon Tiger to find him. From the looks of it, he also has thoughts about the earth elemental beast. Zhou was still somewhat worried. He wasn't worried about Yer, but he was afraid that Lu Yun would already be a dead man by the time he found him. Lu Yun didn't know Yer's origins and only treated her as a child. He probably didn't have his guard up, but Yer wasn't a real child. Offending her would really result in death. Zhou wasn't wrong. If Zhou hadn't set up those rules for Yer would have listened to him and not killed anyone. Otherwise, Lu Yun's situation would really be dire. Even if Yer didn't want to kill anyone, Lu Yun's situation wasn't good either. Lu Yun originally thought that he could easily rush to Mount Dragon Tiger and wait for Zhou, but to his surprise, the journey wasn't easy at all. Lu Yun was indignant that he hadn't managed to freeload the last time. After arriving in another city, Lu Yun planned on freeloading at a wedding banquet. Lu Yun thought to himself, "My habit of suddenly laughing should be fine at a wedding banquet. Even if it flares up, people will only think that I'm happy." Lu Yun's thoughts were good, but at the wedding banquet, just as the bride and groom were about to exchange rings, Lu Yun suddenly couldn't help but wail. He cried so heartbroken that those who didn't know would think that there was something going on between him and the bride and that he couldn't bear for the bride to get married. Instantly, everyone's eyes focused on Lu Yun. Boo-hoo. I really don't want to cry. Boo-hoo. Don't hit my face. Chapter 830. Zhou set off for Mount Dragon Tiger to know what Lu Yun was up to. After walking for a while, Zhou was pleasantly surprised to discover that the fine dust life soul was growing. What happened? Why is the fine dust life soul growing on its own? Zhou didn't know what he had done to make the fine dust life soul grow. After some thought, there was only one possibility. When he walked, he had triggered the growth of fine dust. Zhou hurriedly experimented again and realized that it was indeed the case. The further he walked, the faster fine dust grew. When he didn't walk, fine dust would stop growing. Furthermore, it was useless to take the same path. He had to go to places he had never been before for fine dust to obtain the energy to grow. The advancement method of the fine dust life soul is rather interesting. I actually only need to walk to grow. This is very easy. Zhou couldn't help but be delighted. He could evolve just by walking. The fine dust life soul could be considered the easiest to advance among all the life souls. If this continues, fine dust might be able to advance to an evolved body by the time I reach Mount Dragon Tiger. As he had something on his mind, Zhou wasn't in the mood to look at the dimensional zones along the way. He didn't stop as he headed for Mount Dragon Tiger. Mount Dragon Tiger was a Taoist holy land before the dimensional storms. The founder of the righteous Tao, perfected righteous one, had refined pills and cultivated at Mount Dragon Tiger. Legend had it that the current Zhang family was a descendant of perfected righteous one. After Mount Dragon Tiger became a dimensional zone, the Zhang family, who had always lived on Mount Dragon Tiger, naturally became the owner of Mount Dragon Tiger. Legend had it that after Mount Dragon Tiger's anomaly, there were dragon and tiger roars. It was a terrifying place. Apart from the Zhang family, no one usually dared to approach it. The Zhang family was good at alchemy and sword seals and talismans. It was said that not only did they benefit from dimensional zones, but they also benefited from the heritage of the righteous Tao. Back then, the Hero King's rise was definitely not a fluke. The heritage of the righteous Tao played a huge role. Although the Hero King was very famous, the Zhang family kept a relatively low profile among the 6 families. They weren't as arrogant as the Cape family, nor were they as powerful as the Xia family. They only guarded the area near Mount Dragon Tiger, and few people from the Zhang family caused any trouble. However, no one dared to look down on the Zhang family because of this. In fact, there were many times when even the other 5 major families needed the Zhang family's help. Furthermore, the Zhang family controlled the most important server of the Federation. A lot of information and data had to go through the Zhang family before they could be searched. With the way the Zhang family did things, it was not easy to get information from them. If he wanted to move them, he could not just spend a small amount of money. Zhou rushed all the way to the vicinity of Mount Dragon Tiger and couldn't help but sigh in amazement. It was indeed a blessed land. It was a standard Danxiao landscape with picturesque mountains and rivers. Fog filled the air like a paradise on earth. Legend has it that back then, Celestial Master Zhang refined pills on Mount Dragon Tiger. When the pills were formed, dragons and tigers appeared. That's how it got its name. I wonder if there are any Dragon Tiger pills on Mount Dragon Tiger now? Zhou was very interested in the Mount Dragon Tiger dimensional zone. The Zhang family had always guarded Mount Longhu and even built it as the foundation of the Zhang family. Outsiders were not allowed to enter, so it was clear that Mount Longhu was no ordinary place. If he could download it as a game dungeon, he might be able to reap great benefits. However, the auction wasn't held in the Mount Dragon Tiger dimensional zone. Instead, it was held in a small town outside the mountain. The town's name was Dragon Tiger Town. Although it was a town, the present Dragon Tiger Town was comparable to a large city. Due to the existence of the Zhang family, Many people had moved their families to the vicinity of Mount Dragon Tiger, causing the nearby towns to expand greatly. The Zhang family had indeed protected the peace of the nearby area, preventing them from being harmed by dimensional creatures. After Zhou Wen arrived at Dragon Tiger Town, he originally imagined that Lu Yun would take the initiative to contact him, but to his surprise, he didn't see Lu Yun after waiting for a long time. Unbeknownst to him, although Lu Yun had left early, he had encountered many things on the way. He walked very slowly, allowing Zhou Wen to arrive at Dragon Tiger Town first. Could Lu Yun be dead? Zhou Wen was somewhat worried, but there was nothing he could do. All he could do was wait and see. Zhou Wen didn't contact Zhang Yuji because he didn't know what Lu Yun was up to. If Lu Yun wanted to force him to steal the earth elemental beast from the Zhang family, it wouldn't be appropriate for Zhou Wen to stay with the Zhang family. Just as he was about to find a hotel to stay in, he saw a group of people walking past on the street. From their looks, they were likely from the West District. Are they from the family clan of gods? Zhou Wen sized them up carefully and recognized the symbol on them. Although the members of the family clan of gods only had surnames and no names, they typically used a symbol to let others know that they were members of the family clan of God. They were also proud of being members of the family clan of God. Zhou Wen saw that the middle-aged man in the lead was tall and handsome. His figure and facial lines were as sharp as a marble statue. It was truly unforgettable. As though sensing Zhou Wen's gaze, the person looked over. He clearly recognized Zhou Wen. After taking a look, he walked over. "Hello, Zhou Wen. My name is Moses. I'm a member of the family clan of gods. I've long wanted to meet you, but I couldn't find the time to go to Luoyang. To be able to meet here, it looks like the heavens have destined us to be fated." The middle-aged man came in front of Zhou Wen and said with a smile. The other members of the family clan of gods also stared at Zhou Wen and sized him up. Clearly, they were rather curious about him. A young man who wasn't from one of the 6 families and didn't even have a decent family background was able to make such a name for himself in the league. This was already very eye-catching. Furthermore, Zhou Wen was Wang Mingyuan's disciple. Just this point was enough to make people look at him. "What can I do for you?" Zhou Wen asked Moses. His relationship with the 6 families wasn't that good. After all, the 6 families were the ones in charge of the league. As for him, he had challenged the league's authority. It would be strange if their relationship was good. "If possible, I hope to have a fair battle with you," Moses said. "Moses, aren't you a little too much? You actually want to challenge a young man." As he spoke, Zhang Chuanxiu walked over. This was Mount Dragon Tiger. If the Zhang family didn't know that figures like Zhou Wen and Moses had come to Dragon Tiger Town, they wouldn't be the Zhang family. Moses smiled and said, "The rules of the family clan of gods are different from your East District. The strong are respected. Zhou Wen is strong enough and has the right to be my opponent." Zhang Chuanxiu smiled and said, "Then you can challenge him when Zhou Wen goes to your family clan of gods in the future. He's a guest of our family now." Chapter 831. "I'll naturally listen to the master's arrangements," Moses said with a smile. Zhang Chuanxiu bowed slightly before saying, "I've already prepared a place for everyone to stay. Zhang Xiao will take you there. I hope you won't mind." "Thank you," Moses said. Zhang Xiao led Moses and company to their residence. Before leaving, he glared fiercely at Zhou Wen. Zhou Wen found it somewhat baffling. Although he had taken Zhang Yuji out the last time, he had still sent her back safely. Was there a need to hold such a grudge? Zhou Wen didn't know that his tyrant behemoth was actually lost by the Zhang family. Zhang Xiao already knew that tyrant behemoth was on him, but it wasn't because of Zhang Yuji that he was glaring at him. "Zhou Wen, follow me. Celestial Master Manor has already prepared a guest room. Yuji is waiting for you," Zhang Chuanxiu said with a smile. Zhou Wen originally didn't want to go to the Zhang family so early, but since Zhang Chuanxiu was already here, he had no choice but to make a trip. Celestial Master Manor was by a mountain and a river. It was an excellent place. The Zhang family had lived here for generations. They, who were good at feng shui, naturally chose the right place. Upon seeing Celestial Master Manor, Zhou thought of a legend regarding Celestial Master Zhang. Legend had it that Celestial Master Zhang's father was a feng shui expert. He found an excellent feng shui cave for his father and wanted to bury him there. That feng shui cave was an imperial dragon vein. In the future, there would definitely be a human emperor among its descendants. However, when it was time to be buried, a burly man carrying the coffin couldn't hold back his urine. He ran nearby and peed. He happened to pee on the dragon vein and startled it. There was a clap of thunder as though a dragon aura had broken through the sky. With the dragon aura gone, there was no possibility of a human emperor appearing. Celestial Master Zhang's father sighed inwardly at the Zhang family's lack of fortune. He didn't blame the burly man and still buried his father in the feng shui cave. He even left a message saying that the treasure cave had lost its dragon aura, but its layout was still there. The Zhang family would definitely produce a master in the future. Indeed, his son, Zhang Daoling, would later become Celestial Master Righteous One. Not only was he a master, but he was also an immortal-like figure. Zhang Chuanxiu led Zhou into Celestial Master Manor and led him into the main hall. "Where's Yuji?" Zhou asked when he didn't see Zhang Yuji. Zhang Chuanxiu said, "I've already gotten someone to call her over. She should be here soon. There's no rush. Let's chat first." Zhou thought to himself, "There's nothing to talk about with you. I don't even know you, alright?" However, Zhang Chuanxiu said, "Tyrant Behemoth is your companion beast, right?" Zhou was slightly taken aback. He didn't know how Zhang Chuanxiu knew, but he had no intention of denying it. He looked at Zhang Chuanxiu and said, "Why are you suddenly asking about this?" Zhang Chuanxiu said, "Tyrant Behemoth was originally a companion egg from the West District. An elder of our Zhang family went to the West District to cultivate and obtained a Tyrant Behemoth companion beast in a dimensional zone named Genesis Garden. He originally planned on leaving it for a talented junior. Who would have thought that there would be a spy in the family, who was cleverly switched by him and brought out of the Taoist master's mansion. Our behemoth shouldn't be the same one, right?" Zhou naturally didn't admit it. He didn't know if Zhang Chuanxiu was telling the truth. Even if it was true, it was impossible for Zhou to return Tyrant Behemoth. "Don't worry. Since it's already been lost, it means that Tyrant Behemoth isn't fated with our Zhang family. Furthermore, you have already hatched it. We won't force you to return Tyrant Behemoth." Zhang Chuanxiu continued, "Behemoth is unique. It wasn't obtained from killing a dimensional creature, but an opportunity. It's impossible for there to be a second one. We don't plan on getting it back either. We just want to know how you obtained the companion egg, so that we can know how it was swapped out. We can be on guard in the future." "I bought it at an auction. I originally thought it was a minotaur, but I never expected it to be a behemoth." Zhou recounted the process of obtaining Tyrant Behemoth in a half-truth. "I see. I know how the behemoth companion egg was swapped out. Zhou, you are indeed a person with great luck. The other party must have been prepared to bid for the behemoth companion egg, but we never expected you to snatch it away. There must have been an accident. It's just that we don't know about it." Zhang Chuanxiu really had no intention of pursuing the matter. "If possible, can I ask you to help our Zhang family with Tyrant Behemoth? Of course, the reward won't be small. The spirit talismans created by our Celestial Master Manor are still of some use. I'll use a life-reversing spirit talisman as compensation. What do you think?" Zhang Chuanxiu continued. "What do you want me to do?" Zhou looked at Zhang Chuanxiu in puzzlement. He had heard of the life-reversing spirit talisman from Lu Yun. Back then, Lu Yun had used the Zhang family's life-reversing spirit talisman to steal his fiend-armored tiger soul general. From this, it could be seen that the talisman was indeed something. For the Zhang family to be willing to use such a good item as compensation, it was definitely not easy to get him to do something. "Have you heard of the Fiend Tomb?" Zhang Chuanxiu asked. Zhou Wen shook his head. He had never heard of it. "It's not your fault. Not many outsiders know about the Fiend Tomb. All these years, our Zhang family has been guarding the Fiend Tomb and suppressing the dimensional creatures inside, preventing them from rushing out. For this we paid a huge price. Outsiders can't imagine it," Zhang Chuanxiu said with a serious expression. "What kind of place is the Fiend Tomb?" Zhou Wen asked. "Have you heard of the story of my Zhang family searching for a treasure cave to bury my father?" Zhang Chuanxiu didn't answer and instead asked. "I've heard a little. I heard that Heaven Master Righteous One's grandfather found a treasure cave to be buried in. With the help of Feng Shui, he produced the peerless genius Heaven Master Righteous One," Zhou Wen said. Zhang Chuanxiu nodded. "That's probably the legend outside. Do you think it's credible?" "I don't know much about this." Zhou Wen found it difficult to say whether he believed it or not. If he said that he believed it, it would be as if he was saying that the Zhang family had relied on luck. If he said that he didn't believe it, wouldn't it mean that the Zhang family was lying? They didn't have the mandate of heaven at all. Zhang Chuanxiu smiled and didn't say if the legend was true or false. He only said, "That treasure cave is where the Fiend Tomb is." Zhou Wen widened his eyes at Zhang Chuanxiu, almost unable to believe his ears. The legendary treasure cave that could give birth to a celestial master was actually the Fiend Tomb that Zhang Chuanxiu mentioned. This was unbelievable. Under the influence of the dimensional storms, the abnormalities in the already extraordinary Fiend Tomb have worsened. Our Zhang family has tried all means to deal with the Fiend Tomb, but the situation is getting worse. If possible, I hope you can use Tyrant Behemoth to help us temporarily suppress it. Zhang Chuanxiu explained in detail what he needed Zhou Wen to do. Chapter 832. He originally imagined that what the Zhang family needed him to do was very dangerous, but after hearing that, he realized that there was no need for him to fight at all. He mainly needed Tyrant Behemoth's help. At the entrance of the Fiend Tomb, there was a type of fiend stone that constantly grew. Wherever the fiend stone grew, the creatures in the Fiend Tomb could arrive. It was equivalent to breaking the seal. It was very troublesome to deal with fiend stones. They couldn't be shattered, much less placed anywhere. This was because even if fiend stones were shattered into powder, they would continue growing as though they had a life of their own. Smashing the magic stone or moving it somewhere else would only make it occupy more space. Such fiend stones weren't too harmful, but wherever they were, the creatures in the Fiend Tomb would be able to pass through. Of course, this was only one of the troubles of the Fiend Tomb. After all, Zhou Wen wasn't a member of the Zhang family. He didn't say much about the other problems of the Fiend Tomb. All he needed to do was control Tyrant Behemoth and eat the fiend stones that grew. If that's the case, I naturally won't refuse. However, it depends on whether Behemoth eats those fiend stones. If it doesn't eat them, there's nothing I can do, Zhou Wen said. Of course. I'm just afraid that there are too many fiend stones and it won't be able to finish them. Zhang Chuanxiu's mood improved when he saw Zhou Wen agree. Zhou Wen wasn't worried about this. He had seen Behemoth's appetite before. It wouldn't be a problem for it to eat a small mountain. The two of them chatted for a while before Zhang Yuji walked in. She was very happy to see Zhou Wen. After all, she rarely had friends visit her. In fact, even if someone wanted to find her, they probably wouldn't be able to enter Celestial Master Manor. Even Moses, who was a member of the 6 families, was arranged to stay in a courtyard instead of Celestial Master Manor. Mount Dragon Tiger has many interesting places. Let Yuji take you around. With that said, Zhang Chuanxiu bade farewell and left. Zhang Yuji led Zhou Wen out of Celestial Master Manor and said as they walked, I believe you have been to quite a number of dimensional zones. However, we have a dimensional creature here that you definitely haven't seen elsewhere. What dimensional creature? Zhou asked curiously. You'll know when we get there. Zhang Yuji pretended to be mysterious and refused to explain. She led Zhou on a small boat and traveled along the river. The scenery on both sides was like a fairyland. There were no ferocious dimensional creatures at all. It was no wonder the Zhang family could live here. If there were dimensional creatures everywhere, it would probably be difficult for the Zhang family to live in peace. Not long after the boat sailed, Zhou saw a red rock. It looked like a red glow, and in the middle of it was a strange hill. The small mountain was independent of the water, and the part that was exposed above the water was shaped like a large pill furnace. The red color of the pill was also very fitting. The dimensional creature is there, Zhang Yuji said as she pointed at the hill. The is that, Zhang said. Zhang 2-1. Demon. 4-4 was to 4-4 was to 4-4-4-4. The arrow flew to the front of the cauldron-like mountain, but the mountain spat out a ray of light. A red pill flew out and collided with the arrow, directly shattering it. Pill circled the mountain a few times before charging towards Zhou and company. It's very difficult to see the pill essences in Pill Furnace Mountain elsewhere. This red one is at the legendary stage, and the golden one is at the epic stage. If you can see a pill essence with dragon or tiger patterns, it's at the mythical stage. However, it's very rare. It's very difficult to see it usually. As Zhang Yuji spoke, she reached out and grabbed the red pill essence. No matter how it struggled, it was unable to escape. However, Zhang Yuji did not have any intention of killing it. She touched it with her hand, and the pill essence calmed down and obediently stayed in her palm. Even if Zhang Yuji let go of it, it would not escape. What's the use of these pill essences, companion beasts? Can it heal injuries? Zhou asked curiously. Some pill essences have healing abilities, but different pill essences have different abilities. For example, poison-warding pill essences can detoxify, rejuvenation pill essences can heal injuries, and some pill essences have poison elemental abilities. Anyway, they are all different. Zhang Yuji pointed at Pill Furnace Mountain and continued, if you are interested, you can give it a try. If you can find a mythical rejuvenation pill essence or resurrection pill essence, that would be impressive. What's the use of that? Zhou asked. Are you stupid? You can tell from the name. Any one of them has the ability to revive the dead. No matter how serious your injuries are, as long as you still have a breath left, you can be saved, Zhang Yuji said. Is it that powerful? Zhou was somewhat tempted. Of course it's powerful. However, the companion beasts of pill essences are all disposable items. They are gone after being used. Our Zhang family didn't get many of them. It's very rare to see a pill essence of that level pass through a spatial rift, so you still need some luck to see it, Zhang Yuji said. Alright, I'll try my luck. Perhaps I'll be lucky. Zhou's interest was piqued as he asked Zhang Yuji what to do. The pill essences that came through the dimensional rift are all in Pill Furnace Mountain. All you need to do is lure them out. It's not complicated. Just create some commotion, but don't have too much hope. Mythical pill essences are very rare, Zhang Yuji said. All right. Zhou summoned a poison bat and got it to fly towards Pill Furnace Mountain. Indeed, just as the poison bat approached Pill Furnace Mountain, it alarmed the pill essences inside. Another pill essence flew out. It was also a scarlet pill essence that looked like fire. It looked like it was at the legendary stage. The pill essence's combat strength wasn't very good. It could only release a pill aura attack, which was similar to an essence energy wave. It wasn't very powerful, so it was instantly shattered by the poison bat. The poison bat circled Pill Furnace Mountain for quite a while, attracting pill essences to fly out one after another. However, most of them were at the legendary stage. Even epic ones were rare, much less mythical ones. It wasn't easy for him to kill an epic pill essence, but nothing dropped. Haha, it looks like your luck isn't that good. Ignoring a mythical pill essence, you didn't even drop a legendary companion beast, Zhang Yuji said with a smile. Zhou was somewhat indignant as he used Truth Listener's ability to see if there were any mythical pill essences in Pill Furnace Mountain. However, after giving it a try, he realized that Truth Listener's hearing couldn't penetrate deep into Pill Furnace Mountain. Inside Pill Furnace Mountain was an independent dimensional zone. From the looks of it, Mount Dragon Tiger is the same as Dragon Gate Grotto. It's a dimensional zone formed by many small dimensional zones. Zhou heart stirred as he wanted to see if he could find the tiny palm symbol. If he could download the Mount Dragon Tiger dungeon, he wouldn't have to worry about it in the future. He could slowly grind for mythical pill essences. Chapter 833. Although the Chaos Egg was useful, the Chaos Egg could only be used by him and not others. If his family and friends were seriously injured, the pill essence was far more useful than the Chaos Egg. Zhou sized up Pill Furnace Mountain and couldn't help but be delighted. On the rock of Pill Furnace Mountain, there was really a tiny palm symbol. There's really one. Zhou was overjoyed as he looked at Zhang Yuji and asked, "Can I take a picture closer to Pill Furnace Mountain?" "Outsiders definitely can't, but hurry up and take it. Don't let others see it," Zhang Yuji said with a blink. Zhou hurriedly took out his phone and flew towards Pill Furnace Mountain. When he was within a distance that his phone could sense, he took a picture of the tiny palm symbol and immediately entered the loading screen. "Do you want to continue trying your luck?" Zhang Yuji asked when she saw Zhou return to the boat. "My luck really isn't that good. Forget it. Let's go somewhere else." Zhou thought of searching elsewhere. Perhaps he could find other dungeons. After Pill Furnace Mountain was downloaded, Zhou realized that it was only the Pill Furnace Mountain dungeon and not the entire Mount Dragon Tiger dungeon. From the looks of it, this is different from Dragon Gate Grotto. There's no way to download the entire dimensional zone group in one go. Zhou followed Zhang Yuji and browsed the important dimensional zones near Mount Dragon Tiger. However, to Zhou disappointment, apart from Pill Furnace Mountain, he didn't find the tiny palm symbol near the other dimensional zones. However, Pill Furnace Mountain is enough. After all, these pill essences are very rare elsewhere. By the way, I heard that the Earth Elemental Beast is very precious. Why is your family willing to auction it? Zhou asked. Zhang Yuji hesitated for a moment before saying, "The Earth Elemental Beast is indeed very precious. It's very likely that there's only one in the world, and there won't be a second one. However, this Earth Elemental Beast was obtained by the 6 heroes back then. Because it caused a lot of trouble, my great-grandfather didn't hatch it, nor did anyone let their descendants hatch it. Now, it's being auctioned because of this consideration. I'm not too sure about the exact situation." After a pause, Zhang Yuji continued, "I know that the other 5 families want it very much, so the bidding price will be very high. I'm afraid you won't have a chance." "Then why did you get me to come over to take a picture?" Zhou said gloomily. "Can't you just take it as a vacation and visit a friend?" Zhang Yuji said with a smile. As the two of them walked on the mountain path and were talking, they saw a huge crane flying over from the mountains. On the back of the crane sat a cold-faced young man. "Brother, why are you here?" Zhang Yuji said when she saw Zhang Xiao. "I have something to discuss with Zhou." When Zhang Xiao spoke to Zhang Yuji, his tone was very gentle, but when he turned to Zhou, his tone immediately turned stiff. "Zhou, do you know that Tyrant Behemoth originally belonged to our Zhang family?" Then, Zhou asked Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiao was slightly taken aback and was momentarily at a loss for words. Zhou had already hatched Tyrant Behemoth and fed it to the mythical stage. It was clearly unrealistic to ask Zhou to return Tyrant Behemoth. The reason why Zhang Xiao came was because he was furious. He didn't plan on doing anything to Zhou. If Zhou said a few words, Zhang Xiao's anger would dissipate. However, Zhouwen wasn't someone who knew how to speak softly. The moment he asked this, the two of them immediately froze. Brother, forget it. You can't blame Zhouwen for this. Zhang Yuji also spoke up for Zhouwen, making Zhang Xiao even more depressed. Zhouwen thought for a moment and said, "How about this? Please help me feed Tyrant Behemoth. I don't want any payment for the time you feed it. I'll let it work for you for free. How about that?" "Do I have to keep feeding it?" Zhang Xiao asked coldly. "Then I'll let it work for your Zhang family for free." Zhouwen paused before saying, "However, I have a condition. You have to feed it well. You can't let it starve. Furthermore, you have to feed it until I leave Mount Dragon Tiger." "That's more like it. Then it's settled. Summon Tyrant Behemoth." "I'll feed it now," Zhang Xiao said as he stared at Zhouwen, afraid that he would go back on his word. "Sure." Zhouwen summoned Tyrant Behemoth and got it to follow Zhang Xiao. "You don't have to do that," Zhang Yuji said apologetically. "It's fine. If he likes to raise it, let him." Zhouwen pitied Zhang Xiao when he saw him leave excitedly with Tyrant Behemoth. Tyrant Behemoth was indeed powerful. It even had a chance to improve further in the future. Others only saw its strength, but they didn't know how much food it consumed every day. If it wasn't for the fact that there was an endless primordial crystal mine in-game, Tyrant Behemoth would have long starved to death. Zhouwen knew very well how much he had to pay to feed it in real life. Such a price was something ordinary people couldn't afford. Since Zhang Xiao liked to feed Tyrant Behemoth so much, there was no need for Zhouwen to stop him. Zhang Xiao happily returned with Tyrant Behemoth. As long as he fed Tyrant Behemoth, he could use it for free. Where else could he find such a good deal? Zhang Xiao was secretly pleased. If Zhouwen goes back on his word, there's no need for me to look down on him. He himself will be embarrassed. If he doesn't go back on his word, I'll keep feeding it until he dies. I won't return it to him no matter what. Zhang Xiao, what's going on? Zhang Chuanxiu asked in puzzlement when he saw Zhang Xiao bring Tyrant Behemoth over. Zhang Xiao recounted the matter smugly. That punk Zhouwen knows that he's in the wrong, so he lent it to us for free. Now, there's no need to give him the life-reversing spirit talisman. Zhang Chuanxiu frowned when he heard that. He sized up the 3-meter-tall Tyrant Behemoth and said, "I don't think this matter is that simple. That Zhouwen isn't such a thin-skinned person. Would he be so kind as to lend Tyrant Behemoth to us for free? Tyrant Behemoth is already here. If he goes back on his word and takes it back, he'll be embarrassing himself," Zhang Xiao said. However, Zhang Chuanxiu didn't think so. After some thought, he said, "Legend has it that Tyrant Behemoth is an existence that eats 1,000 mountains every day. Although the legend might be a little exaggerated, Tyrant Behemoth is definitely a glutton." "Did you ask Zhouwen what Tyrant Behemoth eats?" "I did. He said that essence crystals, essence gold, or anything else that contains essence energy is fine. So what if it can eat? Aren't we going to let Tyrant Behemoth eat fiend stones? This is equivalent to free labor," Zhang Xiao said with a smile. Perhaps. Zhang Chuanxiu had a nagging feeling that Zhouwen wasn't such a kind-hearted person. Sogu. What was even more bizarre was that there seemed to be a white dragon-shaped mist flowing within the pill. The entire pill essence was emitting an abnormally powerful aura of life. Dragon-shaped Dan essence? Could it be the mythical life regeneration pill essence that Zhang Yuji mentioned? Zhouwen was delighted as he immediately ordered the Golden Overlord sword to slash over. Dang. When the Golden Overlord sword slashed at the rejuvenation pill essence, it failed to split it into two. All it left was a sword mark. Almost instantly, the wound on the rejuvenation pill essence's body healed. The Golden Overlord sword slashed several times, each strike leaving a deep wound on its body. However, it failed to split it open. In the next instant, the rejuvenation pill essence recovered to its original state. The recovery ability of this rejuvenation pill essence is so powerful. It's even stronger than Li Xian's recovery ability. Zhou was secretly surprised. Unfortunately, Tyrant Behemoth was still with Zhang Xiao, so he couldn't use it. Zhou had to retrieve it before he could use it in-game. Zhou naturally couldn't retrieve it now, so he had no choice but to get the blood-colored avatar to hold the Golden Overlord's sword and use Immortal Slaying. With the Golden Overlord's sword and Immortal Slaying, he split the rejuvenation pill essence into two. Killed mythical creature, rejuvenation pill essence. Looking at the game notification, Zhou was stunned for a moment. That's it? After all, it was the first kill of a mythical creature in this dungeon, but not a single hair dropped. Although Zhou was somewhat depressed, he didn't think much of it when he thought of how there would be plenty of opportunities in the future. He continued getting the Golden Overlord sword to kill the pill essence. Ding! After killing a legendary pill essence, a companion egg dropped. Zhou took a careful look and realized that its name was Aphrodisiac Pill. There's actually such a pill essence. Zhou was somewhat surprised. He hatched the Aphrodisiac Pill and realized that its stats were ordinary. However, its talent skill was different from the Rejuvenation Pill. Its name was Aphrodisiac. Zhou kept counting. There were a total of 81 pill essences in Pill Furnace Mountain. After killing them, no more pill essences came out. Apart from the Rejuvenation Pill essence, no other mythical pill essences appeared. He dripped his blood to respawn the dungeon, but the pill essences on Pill Furnace Mountain didn't respawn. From the looks of it, this Pill Furnace Mountain's respawn pattern should be the same as other mythical creatures. It respawns 24 hours a day. Zhou had no choice but to give up on grinding pill essences and turn to grind other mythical creatures and rare dimensional creatures. Ding! After killing the Golden Battle God Halberd again, another companion egg dropped. This thing is way too easy to drop. This seems to be the fourth or fifth. Zhou couldn't remember how many times it had dropped. What's the use of dropping so many of these things? Hurry up and drop the 9 Black Dragons companion beasts. Let me see how effective they are. Zhou suddenly thought of something. Previously, Lu Yun could transfer companion beasts to others by paying a small price. Now that I've cultivated the sky-stealing sun-swapping skill, can I be like him? If it works, wouldn't I be able to sell those useless companion beasts? Zhou really wanted to sell companion beasts in exchange for the resources he needed. Even if he didn't sell them, he could hand the companion beasts he couldn't use to someone close to him to give them more protection. However, Zhou still hadn't figured out how to use the sky-stealing sun-swapping skill to transfer companion beasts. I'll think of a way to get the method from Lu Yun later. Is this fellow here or not? Zhou planned on visiting Dragon Tiger Town tomorrow to prevent Lu Yun from finding him if he couldn't enter Celestial Master Manor. While Zhou slept, Zhang Xiao didn't sleep. He was still in a state of excitement. He had led Tyrant Behemoth to the Fiend Tomb today to see if Tyrant Behemoth would eat the Fiend Stones. The outcome excited him. Not only did Tyrant Behemoth eat, but it also ate at an astonishing speed. In just half a day, it had already eaten a large number of Fiend Stones. At this rate, it will take at most 3 to 5 days for the Fiend Stones that spread out from the Fiend Tomb to be eaten up by it. Considering how it has eaten so much, it definitely won't disappear so easily. Adding in the digestion time, it will probably take about a month to resolve the problem of the Fiend Stone proliferation. Zhang Xiao thought excitedly. Zhang Xiao wanted to save face, so he naturally wouldn't do that. I have no choice. You can ask Zhou, Zhang Chuanqiu said as he spread out his hands. Even someone as resourceful as Zhang Chuanqiu was helpless. Zhang Xiao couldn't help but be dumbfounded. However, he really couldn't bring himself to apologize to Zhou. I don't believe that Zhou can rear it, but I can't. There must be a solution. Zhang Xiao took Tyrant Behemoth back to think of a solution. However, if it couldn't be fed to its fill, it couldn't be fed to its fill. Tyrant Behemoth's appetite was real. There was no way it could satisfy its hunger. Zhang Xiao thought of many solutions. He even wanted to hypnotize Tyrant Behemoth and make it temporarily sleep. However, it was useless. Even if it fell asleep, Tyrant Behemoth's hunger symptoms would still appear. As long as the symptoms appeared, Zhou would definitely sense it. Zhang Xiao really couldn't afford to embarrass himself. Once Tyrant Behemoth was hungry, he could only feed it. After a few days, his vault was emptied, so he could only borrow it. Zhang Xiao was a person who cared about his reputation. He would rather sell himself to raise Zhou until he left. He definitely couldn't send it back now. However, Zhang Xiao was filled with regret. If he had known that Tyrant Behemoth could eat so much, he wouldn't have agreed to help Zhou raise it. Now, as long as he saw Tyrant Behemoth, his heart would turn cold. His legs would go limp whenever Tyrant Behemoth moved. How is this AF** King companion beast? It's a bottomless pit. How did that bastard Zhou raise it to the mythical stage? Zhang Xiao felt extremely depressed. However, he also knew that Zhou must have put in a lot of effort. Even if there was a way to prevent Tyrant Behemoth from eating or drinking after advancing to the mythical stage, he definitely had to invest a lot of resources before advancing. The amount of resources was unimaginable. Zhou stayed in Celestial Master Manor for the past few nights. During the day, he went shopping nearby mainly so that Lu Yun could find him. Unfortunately, he didn't see Lu Yun. This made Zhou somewhat worried that Lu Yun had really been killed by. When he returned to Celestial Master Manor at night, he realized that Zhang Chuanxiu was sitting in the garden he had to pass by. It looked like he was waiting for him. "Looking for me?" Zhou walked over and asked when he saw Zhang Chuanxiu stand up. Zhang Chuanxiu handed a small lacquer box to Zhou. "This is the life-reversing spirit talisman we agreed on. Didn't I already promise Zhang Xiao to lend Tyrant Behemoth to him for free? There's no need to give me this," Zhou said. Zhang Chuanxiu said with a smile. Zhang Xiao was in the wrong. "I apologize on his behalf. Take the life-reversing spirit talisman. There's also a little something here. Consider it a token of my appreciation. On account of Yuji, how about we forget about this matter? You're being too serious. It's inevitable for young people to have dispute. I'll accept the life-reversing spirit talisman. There's no need for anything else. I'll take back Tyrant Behemoth now and pretend nothing happened," Zhou said. "Don't take it back yet. Let Zhang Xiao feed it for another 2 days. It might not be a bad thing to suffer a little," Zhang Chuanxiu said. "All right, I'll listen to you," Zhou said as he took the box containing the life-reversing spirit talisman. However, Zhang Chuanxiu stuffed the other box into Zhou's hands. "Take this too. It has nothing to do with anything else. Just treat it as a token of my appreciation. You might need it at the auction." "Then I'll accept it." Zhou didn't decline. After chatting for a while, Zhang Chuanxiu left. Zhou returned to his room and opened the 2 boxes. One of them contained the life-reversing spirit talisman, while the other box contained a card. The card was carved from jade. It was the size of a business card and didn't have any patterns. There were only 2 words engraved on the front: Celestial Master. What's the use of this? Zhou flipped it around for a while and realized that it was an ordinary jade carving. It wasn't a dimensional item. In Dragon Tiger Town's courtyard, Moses and company were discussing something. "We have to obtain the Earth Elemental Beast. If we can't get it, we can only use forceful means," the elder said as he looked at Moses. The old man looked at Moses and said, "You have to be mentally prepared. When the time comes, you might be needed." Moses smiled and said, "My guardian and I are ready. We can take action at any time. Let's wait for the outcome of the auction. Mount Dragon Tiger is the Zhang family's territory after all. Even if we want to take action, we have to wait for the item to leave Mount Dragon Tiger, the elder said. Chapter 836. 2 days later, Zhou unsummoned Tyrant Behemoth. Zhang Xiao didn't come to him. It was a tacit understanding. When Tyrant Behemoth vanished, Zhang Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. If he had really nurtured it for a month, he would have really gone bankrupt. Zhou had been waiting for Lu Yun, but before he could arrive, Zhang Chuanxiu rushed over to look for him. Zhou, there's a problem with the Fiend Tomb. Can I borrow your Tyrant Behemoth again? Zhang Chuanxiu's expression was solemn. It looked like the matter was really serious. What happened? It was precisely because it was serious that Zhou needed to clarify. He couldn't risk Tyrant Behemoth. The Fiend stones that grew out of the Fiend Tomb have already been eaten by Tyrant Behemoth. Nothing happened in the past few days, but just now, the Fiend stones began to grow again. Furthermore, their growth speed is even faster than before. I want to borrow your Tyrant Behemoth to try eating them again, Zhang Chuanxiu said. Is it convenient for me to go with you? Zhou asked. Of course. Follow me. Zhang Chuanxiu didn't say anything else as he turned around and led the way. After leaving the town, Zhang Chuanxiu summoned an immortal crane and set off with Zhou. Zhou originally imagined that the vicinity of Mount Dragon Tiger was like a fairyland, but after arriving at the Fiend Tomb, he realized that it wasn't all like that. There was a place in the mountains where all flowers withered and nothing grew. In broad daylight, the sun could clearly shine down, but it made one feel extremely gloomy. In that inconspicuous place, Zhou saw a small grave. It wasn't very big. If Zhang Chuanxiu hadn't said that it was a Fiend Tomb, Zhou wouldn't have imagined that this small grave without a tombstone would have such a huge background. The only strange thing about this grave was its material. Ordinary graves were made of soil. High-grade ones were made of stone or bricks. Those of a higher grade were made of jade or even metal. Although the tombstone was made of stone, the stone was not man-made. It was as if the tombstone was originally made of stone. It was a kind of grayish-white stone that seemed to emit yin qi. Near the grave, a large number of rocks also appeared to be of the same texture, which seemed to be out of place with the mountain wall beside it. It was as if the valley was covered with a layer of frost. In each of the 8 directions of the grave, there was a man-made stone platform. There were people from the Zhang family guarding each stone platform, monitoring the Fiend Tomb from different angles. Zhang Chuanxiu landed on one of the stone platforms with Zhou and pointed at the grayish-white Fiend stone beside him. Please get Tyrant Behemoth to eat the grayish-white Fiend stone over there. All right. Zhou summoned Tyrant Behemoth and got it to eat the grayish-white Fiend stones. According to Zhang Chuanxiu, Tyrant Behemoth stopped after eating a portion of the Fiend stones. Alright, now we have to wait for the results. If you have the time, you can stay and take a look. If you don't have the time, I can get someone to send you out first, Zhang Chuanxiu said. If it's convenient, I want to stay and take a look. Zhou also wanted to see what was so special about the Fiend Tomb that the Zhang family had guarded for so many years. You can stay, but remember not to leave this platform, especially at night, Zhang Chuanxiu exhorted Zhou repeatedly. Zhou naturally wouldn't joke around with his life, so he agreed. The Fiend stones didn't seem to be able to grow any time soon. It had been a few days since Tyrant Behemoth ate a Fiend stone before it grew again. It shouldn't have grown again so quickly. Zhou didn't stare at the spot. Instead, he observed the Fiend Tomb to see if he could find the tiny palm symbol. After carefully searching the vicinity of the Fiend Tomb, Zhou's eyes suddenly lit up. Behind the small grave, Zhou saw a tiny palm symbol with Truth Listener. It was engraved on the stone of the grave. As the stones weren't very flat, they looked like natural patterns. However, Zhou had seen too many tiny palm symbols, so he definitely couldn't be mistaken. However, Zhou was stumped again. Although he had the tiny palm symbol, Zhang Chuanxiu had repeatedly exhorted him not to leave the platform. How could he walk to the Fiend tomb to take pictures? Furthermore, the Zhang family had already made an exception for him to come here. It was impossible for him to take pictures with his phone. How can I take a picture? Zhou thought for a while but couldn't think of a good solution. Just as he was worrying, he suddenly heard someone shout, "It's growing! It's growing again!" Zhou was alarmed as he hurriedly looked at the Fiend stones that had been gnawed out by Tyrant Behemoth. He saw another Fiend stone appear on the ground that had been gnawed clean. The Fiend stones were like bamboo shoots after the rain as they rapidly grew. This was the first time Zhou had seen a stone grow. This time, the regrowth time is even shorter. In less than half an hour, it actually grew again, a member of the Zhang family said worriedly. Has such a situation happened before? Zhou asked. The Zhang family had guarded the Fiend tomb for so many years, so they should have thought of a way to deal with the Fiend stones in the past. To his surprise, Zhang Chuanxiu shook his head and said, "In the past, the growth speed of the Fiend stones was very slow. After the dimensional storms, the growth speed gradually increased. Especially in the past few months, the growth speed has been much faster than before. In the past few years, the Fiend stones only spread less than 10 meters around the Fiend tomb. Look at it now. In just a few months, it's probably almost 100 meters. In other words, you haven't dealt with the Fiend stones in the past." Zhou found it unbelievable. Of course. However, we only took a small portion of the Fiend stones and brought them back for research. We didn't dig out the Fiend stones on such a large scale. There has never been such a situation in the past. Although the places where the Fiend stones have been dug out will still grow, the speed is very slow. It has never been so fast, Zhang Chuanxiu said. What's that? Suddenly, someone pointed at the spot where the Fiend stones grew and exclaimed. Zhou and Zhang Chuanxiu looked over and saw a human-faced pattern appear at the spot where the Fiend stone grew. The pattern grew on the Fiend stone, as though a person was embedded in it. It looked very strange. Has it appeared in the past? Zhou asked Zhang Chuanxiu. This time, Zhang Chuanxiu only shook his head as he stared at the face on the Fiend stone. At the same time, he ordered, "Everyone enter a state of emergency." Everyone tensed up. The Zhang family knew how terrifying the Fiend tomb was. Zhou, who was the only one who didn't know much about the Fiend tomb, had an ominous feeling. Sogu. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.